Testing, testing. Can we hear, guys? Welcome to our Friday night live stream. Okay, I'm just going to let you guys know that, I think I just froze. Dr. Hampton will be joining us today. And can you hear me? We're good.
I can hear you perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Dr. Hampton will be joining us very soon, so get those questions ready. I did want to bring on a carnivore MD who knows what he's talking about when it comes to what to look out for on a carnivore diet. So before Dr. Hampton comes on, we wanted to just talk about a little bit about last week's topic, how there are a lot of people who are looking at the carnivore diet and thinking that we're crazy. Right. And I wanted to just quickly continue that as we warm up. Let us know where you all are hopping on from. Welcome, welcome. Comment it. Do you guys know any real life carnivores personally? Raymond, you go first.
So I never met a real life carnivore before I actually converted them. So, but I do know some that's kind of gotten on carnivore and off of it, with my coaching advice. And I've seen all kinds of great results right in front of me because of it. So those were nice to see. But yes, I know them because I created them, and they're less than a handful.
Nice. How about you, Richelle?
I do know a few, and a few, like Coach Raymond, have been conversions just from sharing my testimony, sharing things that have changed for me, that have healed for me. It gets people interested. I actually met a gal who used to be a carnivore, but it started because her parents were carnivores, and then she was having health issues. So she became carnivore, and her parents are still carnivores. They still ranch here in Texas. They still sell their meat. And I'm just like, these are my people.
That is awesome. How about you, Adek?
I actually started carnivore with my best friend together, just two of us, and there was really nothing in Holland about it. And she's ketovore now, but I'm trying to convince her to go back to carnivore again because she does believe in the results, but she has her weaknesses, but she does follow my advice occasionally. So, and yeah, I've had clients, lots and lots of clients who've turned carnivore too. Yeah.
Love it. And as we all share here, before I get to Chad, I'd love to know if you know any real life carnivores personally. Share your experiences in the live chat box. And if you're watching playback, put it in the comment section. Chad?
I never knew a one, and the only people I know now are people I converted. So yeah, I'm lonely, but I've slowly been trying to convince my parents, and they were much more animal based, but I think I'll get my parents too. But right now, my family and a couple of friends.
Nice.
Todd?
Yeah, same here. Everybody that I know, I converted. So there's quite a few here now that I converted. I did meet two people in Texas, actually, that are from my hometown that are both carnivores. When I was in Texas, they were both carnivores from my hometown. So I didn't convert them, and they are here, but I did have to go to a carnivore convention to find them 1,500 miles away. So, but yeah.
That's so cool.
How about you, Bella?
Yeah, okay, so I know all of you guys. I've met you all in person, okay?
Oh, yes.
Every single one of you guys, except for Adek, but I honestly feel like I've already met her in person decades ago. We're so close. But this whole table right here, we're friends. I consider them my family, and they're all carnivores. And I've had the blessing to meet so many carnivores, probably some of you guys watching at Hack Your Health this year, just a couple months back in Texas. That was so much fun. It was definitely the biggest carnivore event I have ever been to in person, and just getting to hang out, talk carnivore all day, every day for like 3 days straight was incredible. And Todd, if you don't mind just dropping the link for our next Hack Your Health that we will all be at. It will be in Tampa, Florida. So if you guys want an in-person event to meet carnivores in person, that's really the most efficient way to go about it. So yeah, that's my answer. And it looks like we have our special guest here, Dr. Hampton. I'm going to add you to the stage right now. Hi, welcome. Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, you hear me okay?
Very well.
All right. Thank you for adding me to the stage. Sounds very official, but I am a family doctor. I'm an obesity doctor. I'm in Chicago. Very interested in helping the world achieve metabolic health. I think that's a term everybody should know about, and a term that really just allows your body to optimize how it's functioning in the world. So whether you're an old person trying to play with the grandkids, or a young person who's not obese and who's not, struggling through life because of a poor diet, my goal is to help everybody have that opportunity. So I'm always happy to share that message with anybody who's willing to listen. So thank you to all of you guys, Bella and the rest of the crew, for allowing me to be on the team tonight.
We love you so much. Can we just give a round of applause to Dr. Hampton? He pours his heart and soul into his work, and you are really changing lives every single day. So,
you.
Dr. Hampton, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about your vegan to carnivore story, because that's one of my favorite parts of your whole message is your story.
Absolutely. I started my journey as a parent who wanted my babies to be healthy. I have 2 boys. They're not babies anymore. They're 25 and 27. And me and my wife always joke about getting them out of our house as soon as possible. But young folks don't want to leave, so we'll let them, ride that out for a while. So when they were babies, I purchased a book with the goal of what is the best way to, help your kids be healthy. And the book was called How to Disease Proof Your Kids. I think it was Joe Furman, who wrote this book, I think. And that book was a plant-based book. So I went down the plant-based path. And once you type in Furman, you get Osteen, you get Esselstein, and you get these other plant-based folk, and they just become your family. I never questioned whether or not these experts were correct and scientifically correct. I just assumed they were correct. And I fell into the Blue Zones methodology. And for those who have heard of that, that's all observational. It does not show cause and effect. I fell into the other big studies that were done that suggested plants were the way to go, but they were all observational. So when I did the experiment, things felt better, I think, initially. But my wife later developed type 1 diabetes, and we struggled to get the blood sugar under control with a plant-based diet. We did our best, but it just never quite made sense. In fact, I just had a guest on my podcast, Melanie, who was plant-based. That episode will come out next week or so. And she said something very interesting. She said, well, what we do is we eat the plant protein first. So it'll be like tofu and fat, and that'll mitigate the spike that occurs from the carbs. And at the time, I didn't really push back too hard, but I think as I reflected on it and I shared in my episode after that is okay if you're plant-based and you want to be plant-based because that's your ethics, that's your religion, that's your culture. But for us in the low carb community, we feel that it is more logical not to have to mitigate a spike by simply eating the foods that don't cause a spike. So if my wife eats an egg omelet, she doesn't have to worry about a spike and try to think about the arrangements of the food. So I think it's really important as we kind of think about this, that we make sure that we honor and respect people who are in that camp, but we don't assume that that's the best answer for most of us. And we found that it's not. So anyway, so she found she was able to better control her type 1 diabetes with an animal-based diet and a low-carb diet. And I fell into that rabbit hole when I did research for a book I wrote. So I wrote a book called Fix Your Diet, Fix Your Diabetes. During the halfway through that book, I was able to recognize that the studies are not showing that the plant-based diet was the best. It was going to be a plant-based book. I had to completely flip it to a low-carb book. And the study that caught my attention was the A to Z study, which compared the Atkins to the Ornish diet, which is plant-based, Mediterranean, and another diet. And the Atkins diet just blew away the other diets, including the Mediterranean. So at the end of the day, the science is what drove me towards low carb, keto, and now I'm a carnivore. And my wife has much better control of her type 1 diabetes and my irritable bowel, which kind of led me down this path personally, is much better. My kids are, most of the time, they are young. Most of the times they're keto and they feel much better. They're more productive. And our whole family has thrived because we have a dietary pattern that we don't have to chase spikes. We don't have to chase feeling tired. We don't have to chase that fatigue and that mental fog. All of these things are not going to allow you to be optimal. So I'm so happy I was able to make that transition, but it does tell you the importance of being careful about falling into those rabbit holes. You always want to be, if you're talking about politics, go look at Fox if you're always on MSNBC. You got to listen to both sides so you can then at least say, I've heard both sides. I may have an opinion, but now I can make a decision because I've heard both. So I try. That's why I had a plant-based person on my platform, because you want to always hear nuance and hear what they have to say. It'll either confirm what you believe or it'll challenge what you believe, but either way, you'll be better for it. So
I love your open mindset. Thank you, Dr. Hampton, for sharing your story. So now we will take questions. And Todd, you're great at explaining how we do this, the Q&A portion. What are the rules? What do we usually focus on during these live streams? Go ahead while I prepare.
Absolutely. Yep. So if you guys can make sure that you put 3 capital Qs in front of your question, it'll help us pull that through there really quickly so we don't miss your question. And of course, super chats always take precedent. And so you can jump the line with super chat. And other than that, we will get into it. And I have your first question when you are ready.
I'm ready. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, no worries.
Hi, Jeremy. Okay, so Jeremy says, considering doing more man on the street interviews with Max, the beach video was so good. We can hear common objections and how you respond. #Vegas. You're in Las Vegas? Oh my gosh. Let's do a Las Vegas meetup for sure. Let me know where you are in Las Vegas if you're still there, Jeremy. I loved doing that video. It was at Venice Beach. And I basically just, if you didn't watch it, I just went on the streets of Venice Beach and I stopped strangers and asked them, do you know what a carnivore diet is? Would you ever go carnivore? And typically when I opened up with that question, do you know what a carnivore diet is? They start asking me questions like, no, I do not. What is it? And then I would tell them what it is. And there were these groups of girls. You can watch a video. I'll make sure to link it. They were like, no, that sounds so unhealthy. That sounds so dangerous. And I was like, sure, that's very, very, common to believe. But can you believe that I have been eating a carnivore diet for 6 years? And they were shocked. It was the cutest response. And then they started asking questions. And what do you know? They said that they would give carnivore diet a go.
Oh,
Wow.
After that
awesome. Way to go.
On the street.
Yeah. So I was just so impressed that it was California, the most vegan state in America, I think, right now. And yet there were still people who wanted to go carnivore after just talking to them with an open heart. So yes, Jeremy, I'll absolutely consider doing more. Maybe I'll do one on the strip here in Las Vegas. We'll see.
Cool.
Thank you for the request. Yeah. And thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome. Here we go.
Hi, Nav. Welcome back. When I eat Vital Farms 90% grass-fed butter, I get a sudden surge of hunger, almost like hypoglycemia. I don't get that with 100% grass-fed butter. Okay. So I'll start with you, Dr. Hampton. Maybe you can start 10% not grass-fed. Does that make a difference in hunger?
yeah, that is unusual that very nuanced difference would matter. We do know that fat is our friend and fat will make you full. But I think you have to really, when you look at different food products, there are so much nuance to it. And I think that, I think there may be some other things to consider. Now, it should be a completely clean product, but it's just strange. And I'm not sure why that big difference is occurring. But in theory, the more fat you consume, the fuller you should be. And it doesn't make sense. So I'm a little surprised by that. But I think that when we're comparing products, we have to do that experiment. And in this case, the experiment is telling you what you need to know. So I'm not sure I can give a scientific explanation for a 10% difference, but I do think that you just have to honor that and make changes based on what you're experiencing.
Anyone else want to give this a go?
Is it 90% grass fed, as in it's like 10% not grass fed?
Yeah.
Grain fed, yeah. And so the only thing I would say to that is if it's being fed grains, it's going to have a higher omega-6 to 3 ratio, or rather a smaller omega-3 to 6 ratio. So I don't know if that's like an inflammatory response by any means, just because the ratio is going to vary. So I don't know. That could be the cause, and that 10% I know may not sound like a lot, but as long as those cows are being grain fed in any portion, there's going to be inflammation. So that might be it. I don't know.
Could be other ingredients if it's 10% other ingredients. I mean, I have to look at the ingredients list to see if there's anything else added to it.
That's what I was thinking. Like, is there skim milk added to this?
Right.
That could definitely stir something.
Natural flavors.
Mhm.
Oh,
Good point. Good point. Yeah. Nav, these days we have to be careful with even butter, because like even if you go to the grocery store and you buy a block of butter, if you don't read the ingredients, you're potentially bringing home something that has chemicals, natural
Oils.
flavorings, seed oils. Yeah. Things that you do not want in your body, even if you have good intentions. I want to go carnivore. These ingredients can get tricky. So simply read the ingredients list. In fact, if you have that butter sitting in your fridge, can you go check and let us know what exactly the ingredients say? Then that will also allow us to help you a little bit better. We might even be able to catch why if you just read that ingredients list.
And I like that answer about the grains, right? Because if you think about a cow who is only giving grains towards the end of their lives, I mean, it has a huge impact on the final product, right? So it's very logical that a small change could have a big impact. And I also imagine that if we're talking about, it said, they felt like they were hypoglycemic. So maybe that little change was enough to cause a little bit of a insulin spike that then led to this hypoglycemia. So it's just still hard to imagine and practically that's what's happening. But I think these are great speculations. Yeah.
I wanted to ask Bella, wait, real quick. Kerrygold, I remember you had a thing that you said about unsalted versus salted, and they changed something about their unsalted, and you could tell.
Yes. So actually, at that time, and I made a video on this, I alerted the community that they put skim milk in the unsalted Kerrygold butter. However, they don't put that ingredient in the salted. So I said, because I only eat unsalted butter, I will no longer be eating Kerrygold. I don't want to buy something that has questionable ingredients. The ingredients list should just be cream,
That's right.
Not skim milk on top of that. So that's why I've personally switched to a different brand. Right now, I do Raw Farm when I'm in California. It is raw unpasteurized butter. You can find it at any Sprouts grocery stores. And when I'm in Las Vegas right now, I do Vital Farms. Vital Farms unsalted is fantastic. Perfect. Keep going.
All right. Anita, I did not see a comment. I looked on both sides of this and I could not find a comment.
She has one right here. I see it right here.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Good eye.
Came through.
Okay, let me read Anita's question. So she's so confused. She's carnivore for 6 weeks now, 60-year-old female. So tired. Some say 80-20, count macros, 1 gram of protein per kilo of weight. SBG says eat more. Still so tired. Feel like crap. When will this end? Okay. Reading this out loud, my first thought is, are you saying that you tried all of these? What's that word, Raymond? Why can't I think of it?
All these methods?
Yeah, methods, but it's like, Raymond, you always use this word. Modalities. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just ate 2 New York strips. I'm kind of having a meat coma right now. So are you saying, Anita, that you tried all of these different types of approaches and you're still so tired? Or did you try each type and none of these work? That is a key piece of info right there. Like, it's not it's not a good idea to try different modalities at the same time. So if
Right.
you're going to commit to just eating more, do that for 2 weeks. If you're just going to commit to 80-20, do that for 2 weeks. So if you're still there, let us know in the chat. We'll keep an eye. But Adek, go ahead.
No, I was saying it's just 6 weeks. It's a lot to change. In like, if if something doesn't work, you need to give it more time. And I would like it if you just let go of all the numbers. Just let go of the numbers, please. That's the start of eating freely and being able not to get so stressed about all the modalities. And that's the first step to getting to know your body better and your hunger cues better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think 6 weeks is definitely not a long time. And I think how long does that adaptive phase occur? And obviously, if it's taking longer, and obviously we use keto flus and things like that to describe that. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe the electrolytes are necessary for some, where it's not necessary for others. And of course, some people need to bump up their dietary fat. So I just think, I do think this is pretty early. We have people making comments like this later in the game. So 6 weeks seems like a baby carnivore. Is that a term? A baby carnivore? But we'll make
I have
it
a baby carnivore.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I think it's something to do with fat adaptation. I know for me, it took my body
Yes.
a really long time to actually adapt to using fat. And I think it's because I was, a closet binge eater and a sugar addict and a carb addict and just a volume eater in general of garbage food. And it just really took my system a long time to kind of like detox and for the inflammation to come down enough that my body was actually able to recognize the nutrients that were coming in. I think there was, a deep healing process that had to happen before my body would even look at using fat as fuel. And I think my body also didn't trust that I was going to put continuously the good, healthy animal fats in. So I would say just definitely be gentle with yourself, be patient. Our bodies don't get this way overnight. It does take time for things to heal, but we're here for you. We want to see you through this. So let us know how we can help.
And I think
Also-
Raymond will say, take naps.
Yes.
Yeah. Please take naps.
Yes.
A few people in the chat were saying she needs more fats, but she's saying she's been doing 80-20, or at least that's implied.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a fat thing. It might be the type of fat. Some people don't do very good with dairy, and they might be getting a lot of their fat from dairy. So I know for me, I was kind of struggling when I was on like a BBB&E diet, and not until I went like more lion, which is a little bit more, I guess, aggressive and more restrictive, is when I started seeing the energy come back, and I had to up my fat with like beef suet. And I know there's another question there about beef suet, but yeah, so maybe it's just the type of fat, maybe, but again, don't get away from the numbers and trust in the process.
Yeah.
Yes. Anita, you got this. You're really doing the best that you could possibly do. And I think we forgot to mention vitamin P, patience, right? Well, Richelle did touch on that. I love that you said that. And then the taking naps part, sometimes the energy will dip before it starts going up. And so let's not get that dip. Let that dip get to our heads and make us feel like we're doing something wrong. We have to try something different. You might go on the internet and see all these miracle stories of real life carnivores, but they're only sharing the miracles. They're not sharing the parts where they also felt that energy dip initially. Just baby your body right now. Baby carnivores.
I had that dip actually. I literally had to take naps for the first 6 months. I really did. I always took it like every time I napped, I felt great. You too, right, Bella?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Embrace
I love
those naps, embrace the
Embrace it.
energy dip and the lull, and just rest. So don't be confused. Keep us posted, Anita. You got this.
And also, thank you for that. Yes. Sometimes it's a sticker or a super chat. So no worries. Thank you. All right. And we'll go to this one.
Okay. Thank you, Laos. I have WPW, fatty liver. Will carnivore diet be harmful for me? So, Dr. Hampton, do you need to know what WPW is? I can quickly search it for you.
I think that's with Parkinson White syndrome.
Yes.
I don't see that every day, honestly, but it's a condition where it's like the electrical pathway between the hearts. You have atria and ventricles, right? So when you're going from the atria to the ventricle, there's episodes of repeat beats that occur, and it leads to that increased heart rate called tachycardia. So some people with this condition you may have heard the term supraventricular tachycardia or SVTs. These are things we look for, but it's basically something you see congenitally that some people have. And I think they can treat this with ablation and things like that, but it's basically an electrical pathway issue. And what I love about, so the question is, is it? No, it's actually not harmful. You see, I reacted like, no. But no, when I was in my obesity training, the one thing I learned is that your BMI directly correlates to your risk for a whole lot of irregular problems like AFib. So although this is more of a genetic condition, any electrical abnormality that can occur in your heart is going to get worsened when you have you're fatter. So any BMI over 25, you'll increase your risk. Anything above that, although I think that BMI is not perfect, obviously. LeBron has a BMI of 30, so let's keep it real. He has muscle, right? So the BMI is not a perfect measure, right? And maybe his son too, since he has some heart issues. But so I think it's actually going to be beneficial because you will likely not have a weight issue, which will then reduce your risk overall. So I think that any low carb, keto, or carnivore diet is actually helpful for these types of conditions and would be exactly what I would recommend.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Hampton. Let's keep going. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much. Some of my favorite people. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for your support. When and who do you recommend priming? I'm considering trying it to promote further healing. Well, we have to start with Coach Raymond. You created priming. Who do you recommend?
That's perfect. I recommend it for the people who feel like that relates to them. So it sounds like it relates to you. So it definitely would be for you. I have two versions out there. So one that I like to call the full-on priming. That's the easiest one. It's pretty much eating 3 meals a day until comfortably stuffed, which the part about comfortably stuffed is very important because we don't even know what full is on carnivore. So we want to try to push that envelope so that way we know that we're feeding ourselves enough. And then we also have coffee as dessert. That's part of very important also because coffee will hinder the appetite. The other method is eating small portions to satiety every couple hours. One way or the other, you're trying to get as much resources as you can in your body for a certain period of time. The first 2 weeks is what I like. The third week is where you trial it out with the 2 meals, and then you start tapering off and feeling what hunger feels like. But the idea is not to even feel hungry during that first priming period.
Yeah. And I'll add that imagine somebody who had a history of being a restrictive eater, right? So priming is a great way to help them replenish their nutrients and to help them overcome that way of eating. So because a lot of times there's stress with eating. And so if we can kind of overcome that by kind of priming, that'll help them tremendously. Obviously, people with cravings should be thoughtful and maybe consider this as a way to, to kind of not have cravings because you're going to eat a lot. So you're good. And then, of course, people who have unstable sugars, like low sugar. Some people, I have patients literally have low sugar. So people who are in that category, they tend to do better if they do priming as well. So I just think it's a nice tool. I actually didn't learn about priming until I joined the Steak and Butter Gang. So you guys taught me that. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Hampton. Yes, and we will drop the link for Steak and Butter Gang in the live chat. It's also in the description box if you want to join the community. Awesome. Let's keep going.
All right. Also, just a shout out to Rebecca there. That's one of Kim Berry's coaches there.
Oh,
very cool.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Come in.
Wow. Great.
Oh my
Thank you for coming.
gosh. Thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate you. Awesome. Hi, Lou. I sent an email. Newish follower. I had a miracle in my body, and I'm wondering if it could be by attempts to follow carnivore. Wonder your thoughts. Wow. I mean, we hear miracle stories every day. I wouldn't be surprised.
I feel like I'm one, you know?
I feel like here, like the biggest miracle story I've heard that really just blew me away. Like basically the longest list of things that were healed ever is Todd's. Talk about.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
talk a little bit about your story.
I thought actually it was talking about a baby in the body.
Yeah. Oh, that is a
That's
miracle.
true, too.
That's
That is a
true. I
miracle.
like that. That is good. Yes.
Just, you know, down 310 pounds, congestive heart failure is healed. Anxiety, depression's completely healed. Lymphedema is 90% healed. Reactive airways healed. Type 2 diabetes is healed. Sleep apnea is gone. You know, just and all the addictions. I was a gambling addict, and that's gone. I have no addictions for anything. I chewed Copenhagen for 26 years, 2 cans a day. Quit all the nicotine, caffeine, sugar. It's all gone. You know, it was incredible. I mean, it really is like you're a new person. Like you're not even the same physiological person you were before. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, I want to comment on what he just said. He said he's not the same physiologic person, right? And
Love
when
that.
you think about congestive heart failure, which is a huge issue, people don't realize that insulin is going to make you hold on to water. Right? I mean, make you get rid of water. Let me say it. It'll make you hold on to water. I had it right. So when you reduce your need for insulin, you are not holding on to all that fluid because carbohydrates bring in water, hydrate. And when you get rid of all the carbs by being a carnivore, you get rid of water. So is that good for congestive heart failure? Of course. Is decreased inflammation in your heart good for congestive heart failure? Of course. What's going to happen to your blood pressure? They did the keto versus DASH diet, and the keto diet, which is carnivore as well, killed the DASH dietary approach to stop hypertension. Most people get congestive heart failure because they have a high blood pressure. And when you lose weight, the workload of the heart gets reduced. So when you said physiologic things occurred, it's a long list of things that the cardiologist could explain even better than me. And that's why you feel like a new person. I mean, you lost maybe 2 or 3 humans when you lost that much weight.
Oh, for sure. I got a little bit of ways to go, but you know, it's just not even my brain functions the way that it did before,
amazing, Todd.
you know. Yeah, that's where it was 22 months ago.
Wow.
So
22
Definitely
months.
not the same person.
Crazy.
The real thing is the oxygen. That's the part that
Oh
gets
my
me. And you
gosh.
had to be on
Yeah.
that all the time.
That's
and now
right.
look at you.
yeah, I was dependent on it for sure. Yeah, I can stand up for 90 seconds. My oxygen saturation with 6 liters of oxygen was 88%. Now it's 96% with no oxygen, no CPAP. And, you know, my resting heart rate was 107 beats a minute. Now it's 68 beats a minute. You know,
That's crazy.
I really feel like I'm a new person, different.
And
physio.
You are.
And your
You
beard
are?
is much better. Your beard is much better.
You look much better.
I get to the
You're
mirror.
growing baby hairs, aren't you, Todd?
I am. It's weird.
I was going to mention the baby rosy cheeks. He's just like a newborn baby, you know?
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, but it's crazy. Well, and the skin did get way better. And my brother's 13 months carnivore now.
Wow.
His skin looks fantastic, and his MS is you know, he's had MS for 19 years, and he was having serious vagus nerve problems, hard time breathing, and he was having syncope and passing out in the morning. And after 13 months on carnivore, he's like, I think I'm going to beat this thing. He's got most of his nerve function back, and he stopped passing out. It's crazy.
I mean, even just thinking that already is so positive, right? Like, I think I'm going to make it. I think I'm going to.
Yes, the
Yeah,
hope it gives
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
Or have a quality of life or potential for quality of life.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
For sure.
Everybody's
Pretty
cheering you on, Todd. Absolutely. Go, Todd. He's so inspiring. Todd recently got kicked, striked, banned, whatever word you want to use on
I did.
YouTube. Like, how can we
I
support you?
That's a huge win already there.
Rumble. We're gonna have to go to Rumble. Like, and I won't talk smack on everybody else's YouTube channels, but the fact of the matter is that I didn't say anything that wasn't a proven fact about some medications out there that are hurting people,
Right.
and they don't like it. So I think that the more miracles that we have, and the more that we try to tell people, the harder that we're going to get fought by some big, powerful companies that have a lot of money at stake. So we got to get on Rumble. We got to support us on Rumble, because it's the only place we're going to be able to help people, because the more that this affects the commercial industries, the more that they're going to come after us. I mean, I'm a little fish and they came after me. So I mean, not only that, but I had somebody come after my handles. Even they're trying to get my handles with a cease and desist order. So stupid things are happening. So we just got to get over to Rumble and just keep shouting. I'm honored, because that means it's working, right?
Yeah.
That means that we're poking the right bear. So no, but yeah, over at Rumble, the Carnivore Cure on Rumble, appreciate some follows over there, because that's where I think we all got to get. So
Cool.
Yes.
for sure.
You too, Dr. Hampton. Let's take care of our messages and our communities by expanding to Rumble. I'm in the process of doing
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I will definitely do that. I'm writing it down now. Wow.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's Ken Berry's over there, so that's good.
Cool.
Oh, Rebecca says, Dr. Berry, let me put this one up. Rebecca says Dr. Berry did a live today about informed consent, and he was doing a lot of tiptoeing around some stuff. Yeah, you kind of have to do that on this platform. So we definitely still want to spread the word on as many platforms as possible. We just have to be flexible, okay, Todd? So just be flexible.
I know.
And maybe try to.
I know, but literally, because I got a warning, and then all that happened was me and Chad were live, and we got a question that point blank asked us about a certain medication that we know is harming people, and so we talked about it.
Don't bend the knee, Todd. Don't bend the knee.
No, we will not bend a knee to the woke mind virus. For sure not.
Wow.
What are your thoughts on all of this? Share it in the live chat. We will have to move on now. We have some. Okay. Yeah, I know. It's mind blowing. Lorraine, thank you so much. 90 days of carnivore next month. Round of applause to that. 90 days is not easy. You did it.
Beautiful.
Yes. Very interested in the benefits from feasting and fasting. Looking to join in Bella's November meetup challenge. Is it too soon? Oh my
No,
gosh.
it's not too
No,
soon. Join
Richelle.
us.
Never soon enough.
Why do you
Join
say
us. Yeah, we would love to have you in there. It would be so amazing. And I think 90 days in, you know what you feel like now doing your first 90 days on your own. Come and see what 30 days with us is going to feel like, because it will blow your mind. It will knock your socks off.
Yeah.
And having that community, that's the big
Yes,
part about it.
definitely.
Just having a bunch of carnivores you can talk to. I mean, unless you have real carnivore friends where you're at, but it's really nice and refreshing to be able to talk to others who have the same mindset. One of the things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I'll finish when you're done.
Yeah, well, I was going to say about the feast and fast. One of the things that to benefit from the feast and fast I want to talk about is a lot of people think, oh, I can just fast. And a lot of folks are going in fasting malnourished.
Yeah.
That's just a bad idea. That's just a recipe for disaster. When you choose to feast first, know what that feels like, know what that nourishment is like, then the fasting comes in almost automatically. So there's a synergy in between those two.
Yeah, I wanted to say, Todd, go ahead. I forgot that you were about to say something.
No, I was just going to say that the community part is exactly why me and Chad, when we wanted to have a men's meeting about mental health, did it in SBG, because we both tried to help people stay on carnivore without a community before. And it's when we can only talk to them for an hour a week, and then they have to go out in the world that's tells them that everything that we talked to them about or gave them some hope in an hour is going to, cause cancer or high cholesterol and heart disease and everything. They never stay on it. But we found that being in a community is so helpful, because they can sit there and actually see a whole bunch of people that have had miracles through this way of eating that have nothing to sell them. They're literally just there donating their time. I mean, me and Chad are donating our time because it changed our lives, So
Yes.
I'll add that the community part is it may be the most important part. And
Yes.
I know when you think about Eric Westman, when they do things, and his platform is a community of support for a number of weeks. When you think about Verta Health, they have a app that provides support. When you think about people like Dr. Tro, and he works with companies, industrial companies, to teach metabolic health and this way of eating. They have an app of support and people you can reach out. Dr. Mariana Gallant, who was also at the Metabolic Revolution that we did on October 13th in Washington, D.C., she has created an app, and the app has coaching. So listen, guys, never, ever question your willpower, your desire. You're a human being, and you're going to struggle. And when you hear things that explain why you struggle, then it's not really a mystery anymore. And then you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And let me just push through. So I encourage you guys to join those communities, whether it's the Steak and Butter Gang, this Feast Fast, because all of these things are going to make your lives better. And yes, when you fast, you do a wonderful job to your body. Your mental clarity is going to shoot through the roof. All of these things you hear about, like autophagy, will allow your cells to heal, regenerate, and be healthier. Your inflammation is going to go down. Everything gets better when you give your body a break. And what we don't do in this societies of today, rather than in the U.S. or elsewhere, we don't rest our bodies, and therefore we body just doesn't get a chance to recharge. So strongly encourage you guys to take advantage of those opportunities. It's just a good place to spend your resources, as opposed to at the Starbucks. Shout out to Starbucks.
For saying that.
Will that ding us? Is that going to be a problem?
Could I tell my story about how community is important to me? Because
Please.
I started off alone as well, and then I joined the SBG, and that's when everything went well and everything, the community. And then I actually took a break last year, and I just needed to get away for a while, and I had to do it on my own. And even after 3 years, it was a struggle without community. Even after being a coach and having 3 years of community behind me, and now that I'm back, it feels so good. Because it does. I already feel I'm making progress again, just being in community. Yeah. So as a coach, it's nice to be in the community too.
Well, I met all of these amazing carnivores thanks to online community. And there are so many wonderful private communities out there right now. You don't have to join SBG, but since you're here on this live stream and you're looking for one, you're lost, might as well, right? I just wanted to feature this comment that I saw in the live chat of one of our members. I felt like it was so sweet. If I can find it. Great. We have so many live chat messages. I think I lost it. But it was so good. Oh, well. Okay. So we start our next challenge in November 2nd. Okay. So you have now until November 2nd to catch our kickoff day. And then from there.
Today someone joined today in our group, the first time in the meeting today. So, she's we just told her to watch the playbacks and just join all the meetings you don't have to start from the
join
beginning.
now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Perfect.
And also the benefits from feasting and fasting. You said you're very interested in it, and you're going to learn a lot about that. When your digesting is a super tax on the body when it comes to energy and resources. So when you fast, like once you start getting into a fast, you're going to start releasing everything from stem cells to BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotropic factor, HGH, which is human growth hormone, and your body's going to be able to send those resources that would normally spend digestion towards your health and recovery. So when you you have to realize also our ancestors built the cycle of getting a hunt and then eating like as much as they could. And what's awesome is protein and fat create satiety very quickly. And so they would kind of feast for a little while, and then they would go for the hunt, which might be a week or so without eating. And everybody in the tribe would be fasting for that period. And so our body is designed to fast and feast. It's not designed to graze. And carnivores are just that way. And then you eat a bunch, and then you sleep, you pass out for a few hours, and then you get back up and you work again. And that's what SBG is trying to recreate. They're trying to get you back on that natural rhythmic cycle of your body eating, replenishing resources and then relaxing and recovering and going back and forth. And you're going to start realizing how much energy you have in the fast once you get used to it. So anyway, if you're very interested in it, once you join, you're going to start learning all these little things. I think that's very important to know.
And here's
Love
a
that.
stat, a real quick stat. For the typical American, 60% of their total body expenditure each day is spent on digestion. So now there's no time to fight cancer and all these other things that your body's supposed to be doing. So if you are eating the way we're suggesting, now you can do all of the things that were just suggested and your body's more efficient. So we don't need to spend 60% of our energy on digestion. That's ridiculous.
Right. That's right.
That's awesome.
Love that.
Amazing. Yeah, I found the chat. So thank you, Crystal, for the kind words. We're so happy you're an SBG. I see some SBG members in the live chat as well. Welcome, everyone. Everyone who
Welcome.
just joined, welcome, welcome. Let's keep going. Hi, Christine. Thank you so much. I feel best when I eat beef, eggs, and chicken, but 2 food sensitivity tests show I have high sensitivity to these, along with nearly all plants and dairy. Should I avoid the beef, chicken, and eggs per the tests, or eat what is making me feel best? Let's start with Dr. Hampton. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I actually had a retired allergist talk to me about this test that they have out there, and they are very unreliable when it comes to reality. So if you have a person who eats salmon that's fresh and they have a reaction to that, and then they eat salmon. I have a family member and they eat salmon that's canned, they're not going to have a reaction to it. And why is that? Because when you process food, you denature the protein and all of these other things occur. So it is not a great predictor of your real tolerance of food based on those tests. So should the test be considered? Absolutely. But in the context of the best test, unfortunately, is what happens in life and reality. So I would not use that as the litmus test. If you've been successful eating those foods in the past in the form that you've eaten it, you should be in pretty good shape. But if you've not eaten those foods, it's probably safer to test those foods in consultation with an allergist. There is a way to kind of expose you to it that's more realistic as opposed to what you see in those sensitivity tests.
Also, could that be a histamine thing too? So, for example, is she being responsive to the fact that's aged meat, and so she's getting the histamine response, and therefore she's getting the fact that she's, what's the word that we're looking for, sensitive to it. So could that be the thing? So maybe you can try meat that is not aged, and therefore the histamines will be lower, and then maybe that's what I'm thinking of immediately.
Well, and like I'm sensitive to chicken because most chicken is completely Franken chicken now. I mean, it gives my dog seizures. It does. So my dog has seizures on chicken. I won't touch it unless it's farm raised. And then the egg whites I'm sensitive to egg whites too. So I eat the yolks. So yeah, I think I don't know, all of those things other than beef. So yeah, it does sound like it could be histamine too.
Yeah.
My question is there like a gut permeability component going on here too? Like if these proteins are getting past the gut lining and going into the bloodstream, is that maybe causing some?
Low HCl. I see.
Could be that too. Leaky gut.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's just I always have skepticism when it comes to tests and labs and numbers in the first place, because if I were to look at my LDL, or total cholesterol, which is well over 300, and I make the conclusion, oh my gosh, I'm killing myself, I guess I should stop going on a carnivore diet. Well, then I will miss out on a wonderful life and fantastic health. So just to make the point, like Christine, if you feel wonderful and you say that this truly is making you feel your best, eat it. Eat it.
Heck
give it some time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what Bella's saying is there's this example going around a lot, and Todd and I talked about this yesterday, but there's 2 ways to tell what a good golf swing is. There's like the book definition where it's like you have to have a straight arm, you have to follow your hip, you have to blah, 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 blah. And you get onto all the technicalities in the book of what makes a good golf swing. And the second way to tell if the golf swing was good is to see where the ball lands. So don't get distracted by all the technique and all the garbage that they could fill you with. Look where the ball lands. If the ball lands somewhere good, then you had a good golf swing. So if like exactly what Bella is saying, even though labs are nice to kind of like get some gauge points, it shouldn't be like, oh, I feel great, but this lab says this, so therefore let's just abandon that.
Yeah.
So
and you also your sensitivities to things tend to be higher. I learned this when I got my master's in nutrition and functional medicine. The more foods you eat, the more likely you're going to be sensitive to them. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, so what does all that mean? Nobody knows, but I just want to put that out there. So the first part of the sentence, you know, I feel best when I eat beef, eggs, and chicken. We'll put a period after that and be done with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
I like it.
Exclamation mark.
Good job, team. Hopefully that was helpful. Yeah, and thank you for the super chat.
You should have saved your golf analogy for golf coach Marv.
Yeah.
Hi, Marv. Thank you so much. Carnivore for 4 months. Congrats. Keto 8 months before that. 2 months ago, I started having acidic diarrhea bowel movements, leaving me in pain down there for a few days. Has anyone else had this? Maybe bile related? I love this type of eating, but this threw me off a bit. Dr. Hampton, what are your thoughts first?
Well, this person has been doing it for a while, because what I see is that my patients who are transitioning, they can definitely have some issues with diarrhea. We mentioned earlier about fat adaptation, and when you're not adapting very well, and you're not able to process the fat, that's why you may have to use a bile ox or something like that, or maybe you don't have enough acid. You may have to do those things. So but that in this case, that may not be the issue. I always bring up electrolytes because that's always an issue. So I would actually think about experimenting with electrolytes. If not, I would experiment still with bile ox, because you may be going through a period where the acid that you or the bile that you need is not adequate. So I would look at that. Some people are having microbiome changes that kind of can mess things up for a little bit. So it's a little bit of an experiment to figure out exactly what the cause is. But the short answer to your question, we have seen people have this problem, and sometimes they have to make some changes. Sometimes they have to cut down on the fat because they just don't tolerate it.
Could it
Doctor?
also be the different kind of fat? Again, the rendered and the solid fat difference? That
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So start off with solids first, and not the liquid fats, because you'll go to the
Well,
best.
Adek, for our new carnivores, can you just explain that a little bit? Why?
Well, yeah. So the liquid fats, or the rendered fats, is the fat that turns to liquid. You know, when you heat it up, and that's usually, sometimes it's also the liquids in the ground beef or the minced meat that you cook. So if it's, for example, drain that out, put the meat on the plate, and then add solid butter on top for your meat, or something else, or tallow or beef trimmings instead, and don't drink the hot rendered fats or liquid fats. That would be a good thing to try to see if that will help as well. Something like that.
So
Perfect.
okay, I wanted to ask Doctor a question from you, because this is the way I understand it, is that when you eat food, and when my thing is, I'm thinking that there's too much protein to fat, because when you eat food, especially protein, your stomach becomes acidic. It helps us digest in the process. Then it moves into the duodenum, which is like the first 10 inches of the small intestine.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when bile is squirted onto it from the duodenum, or from the gallbladder, right, to emulsify the food that's in there. So if there's too much, if there's not enough bile and there's too much acid, that's when you would have diarrhea and acidic diarrhea. And then if there was not enough acid and too much bile, that's when you would have the bile in your diarrhea, right, or in your stools.
No, I think that the way you explained it is correct. That makes sense.
Yeah. So wouldn't this, if it were acidic, and how would somebody, if they are not medically trained, be able to tell the difference between bile in their stool and
Mhm.
acid in their stool?
Yeah.
And then in
Right.
addition to that, this would kind of show you, well, it seems like you need to be upping your fat, and that way you can upregulate the amount of bile that you're releasing, which might take a few months to get there, but you up your fat so that way it can emulsify, and then you would have the normal brown solid stools, right? So that's kind of like what I'm understanding from this question. Could you correct me or dive into that a little bit more?
Yeah. When you think about your oh God, I hate talking about boo-boo, but you brought it up. But it's it's really you look at the color of the stool is very important. So if my stool, a lot of the color of your stool actually is what the bowel is creating. So if my stool looks pale or kind of clay colored, that's a scenario where you probably don't have bile in your stool. And so that's the first thing. And then you start to worry, is there a gallbladder issue? Is there a bile duct issue? If you don't have a gallbladder, is there a liver issue? Because that's where you're going to get your bile from your liver. It's stored in your gallbladder. And if you don't have a gallbladder, it's stored in your bile duct. Okay, so that's the first thing that you think about. If you're not absorbing fats very well, then guess what? You're going to see fat in your stool. So you may have greasy stools, fatty stools that we even use the term steatorrhea so in the medical field, when we're learning all these words, that's what we use to say, okay, there's a fatty stool, and that's where we have problems. People obviously your stool is it may smell different and not in a good way, because if you're not digesting the fat properly, you may find that the stool is going to have a foul odor. So that's going to happen. And of course, you may have symptoms like diarrhea. You may have cramping and things like that. So you'll have those types of symptoms if you're eating fatty foods that you can't process. So that's kind of like what we see from a patient perspective. Doctors can obviously order tests to analyze your stool. We don't do that often, but we can do that. And if we are looking for the source, we'll do blood tests like liver function tests and things like that. And obviously, if we need to test to see if these organs are okay, you can do diagnostic tests like ultrasounds and things like that to see, are the bowel ducts enlarged? Is there evidence that there's something going on with the gallbladder that you would be worried about? Is there a liver issue? So, but most of it is what you see, and then we'll kind of go from there based on the presentation of a patient.
Also, if it wasn't an organ, could this be along the symptoms of like a protein poisoning, because they're making their stomach more acidic and their gallbladder's not being used as much, and so therefore you would see that
when you say poisoning, like excessive protein?
Yeah, like rabbit poisoning. So when people would eat like too much rabbit, so it was too lean a meat and not enough fat, and they would get very sick, and they would have acidic poops, and they would get diarrhea and die. Isn't this so? Could one of the things that we might be seeing with him is someone eating too lean of a carnivore diet and not enough fat?
Yeah, it's possible. I think that that's a little more nuanced than possible. I think it's more likely that in this case it's probably going to be a more fat related than anything. But it's possible. Yeah, that's my.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like too much protein, too fat, not enough fat. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hampton. Yeah. Does anyone want to chime in on this one? We're all good. Let's keep going. La Verdad. Hello. Thank you. 43 days on carnivore. Congrats. Have moderate GERD. Symptoms are improving slowly. Should I take omeprazole for 4 weeks to see if it helps, or should I not? Dr. Hampton, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting because omeprazole, proton pump inhibitor, is something we worry about because it is known to increase your risk for other problems that we worry about. Some are cognitive related, etc. But anything you do in the short term it's probably not going to be a big deal. So if you're saying, I always, and I say this all the time, I consider medicine bridge therapy. So if I'm in a fire, if Hurricane Helene or Milton is coming my way, I may need to do some things I normally wouldn't do to protect myself. So if I'm feeling really bad and struggling, then I may take a proton pump inhibitor like omeprazole, Nexium, etc. in that setting. A natural thing you can do for GERD is something called DGL. It's a licorice type supplement. It's a great supplement to you take before meals that'll help coat your stomach. So a lot of my patients who are not excited about medicines, they may take something like DGL because they worry about the nutrient deficiencies also, because a lot of times if you cut off the stomach acid, you're causing a lot of downstream negative effects. One is that you won't absorb B12 as well because you need the acid to absorb that. And us in the carnivore community, we need our magnesium. And believe it or not, you may have a lower magnesium level when you take those proton pump inhibitors. So, but the short answer to the question is that, yes, I think it's okay to take a medicine like that in the short term, but I would not take a medicine like that in the long term. And because again, think about those proteins that you need to break down with acid, and you've turned off the acid. Those proteins that are not broken down may get absorbed, particularly if you have a leaky gut, into your body. And those are the types of things that can increase your risk for autoimmune diseases. So, because you'll absorb the proteins that may look like your body's proteins and your other body, substances. And if your body attacks those proteins, then it's going to start attacking your body. And that's how you get an autoimmune disease. So we are very cautious about using medicines, and I think when these medicines first came out, the recommendation was to only use the medicines for a short amount of time. But for some reason, we've changed the rules, and now people are on these medicines chronically for years. And that's why they end up with all of these complications. So short-term use, 3 to 4 weeks, no big deal. Long-term use, probably not a good idea.
Great.
Perfect.
Perfect.
All right.
All right, this is Nav again. My vitamin D has always been low, even though I have spent some time outdoors and supplementing with D. Can I mega dose vitamin D? Do I have to work up from low dose or start the high right away? 5+ months, carnivore here.
Definitely doesn't need to be gradual. And I think you could probably go as high as 10,000 per day, which sounds really high. Most people if you get the typical vitamin D3 K2, it'll probably be 5,000 plus the K2. We need the K2 to usher the calcium that's being absorbed more efficiently because of vitamin D out of our joints, so we won't get arthritis, out of our arteries, so we won't get cardiovascular disease, because calcium can affect those two areas. So you then may want to, if you're in that 10,000 range, you may want to periodically get a vitamin D level to make sure that you're not going too high. But there's a rare person that's going to get too much vitamin D, but it's also a rare person who won't need to supplement with vitamin D. The supplements I take personally, periodically, electrolytes, I take vitamin D3, K2, and of course, the darker the skin, the more you have to think about this. I definitely try to get sunlight, but I'm in Chicago. I'm going to go see a Bulls game tomorrow. So we don't get a lot of sunlight like everybody else. And then I take omega-3 because I don't eat a lot of seafood. So I just think for carnivores who don't like seafood, who don't eat seafood, omega-3, a high potency omega-3, a quality one. I use Carlson's, would probably be recommended as well. But definitely, most of us need to think about vitamin D. We just don't get enough of it.
How much sunlight would we need to get to not supplement vitamin D?
Woo! Well, if you live in Florida and your skin is lighter than mine, they say 20 to 30 minutes is probably sufficient. But I have found that not to be true in practical experience. When I check people's levels, I don't care if they came from Miami or from Wisconsin, seems like everybody has a low vitamin D level. It just
Really?
seems like it. Yeah, I mean, but again, there's exceptions. But so we can do a little put in the comments. Was the
Yes.
last time you got
Sure.
your vitamin D check?
Is
Was it
it also
normal?
because is it also because of the seed oils that we're saying, that we won't be able to absorb vitamin D because we
Absolutely. And I think the quality of the vitamin Ds out there are not that great too. So you have to look into that as well. So it's just a lot of factors, and obviously the way we the food that we have is not what it was. So there's a lot of factors, but it just seems like 90% of the people when I check their vitamin D is low.
Wow.
Yeah, because couldn't the ratio be messed up? Like the same way vitamin C, everyone thinks that carnivores are going to get scurvy because we think we need an astronomical amount of vitamin C, but just turns out that carbs inhibit your absorption of vitamin C. And so it's kind of like a manipulated level that we need to reach. Is that also something that we have to consider with vitamin
It
D?
probably is. I have not researched that personally, but I'm going to tell you, it would be interesting if we did another Harvard study on carnivores to see where they land, right? I mean, if you're like Dr. Boz and you're eating sardines every day, does she really need to take vitamin D? And the answer is probably not. So I think it just depends on the quality of your carnivore diet. Are you getting enough from your diet? And the answer is even carnivore, which is very simple, has nuance, and it's not as complicated as being a vegan where you have to really think about things. But I think there's nuance to it, and we could probably do better. If you just ask the average person how they're eating, maybe they're not eating a high quality diet,
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you, guys. And everyone watching the live stream, put it in the comments. Do you currently supplement with vitamin D right now? Feel free to share that. Awesome. Hi, Terry. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Terry's in the Steak and Butter Gang as well. This is for you, Todd. How long did it take for sleep apnea to resolve? Did you use a CPAP? If so, how did you know you could sleep without it? Thank you.
I did. I used Panasonic, I think it is, CPAP, and it had it's got a little readout on it that tells you how many times you quit breathing a minute, And as I was healing, I'd usually quit breathing like 46 to 48 times a minute, And then as I was doing carnivore, that number started going down and down and down. And my, I did a lot of things. I did the Wim Hof breathing stuff too, really seemed to help. I got a bed that kind of propped me up a little bit too. That helped. And then I started using that. But ultimately, I think it was on month 9, those instances started going down to like 1 or 2 a minute, where I'd stop breathing. And then when I got down to that, I started waking up at night and I had pulled the face mask off my head. My body was not wanting it anymore. I think it was actually keeping me from breathing normally at that point. So I'd wake up and I'd pulled it off. So finally at month, about month 18 was when I finally put it away. I was just like, I'm not this. I was still using it because it would put me to sleep. I was used to the noise. And so there's something about the habit of it that would put me to sleep, but I'd wake up and I'd ripped it off. And finally, after 18 months, I put because it was hooked to oxygen too. It had an oxygen hose. So finally at month 18, I was just like, okay, I don't need this anymore. And I actually sleep better now without it. So it was about 18 months officially, but I started kind of noticing that I was probably telling all the signs at about 9 to 10 months in that I was going to be getting off of it soon. So somewhere in there.
Could I share a quick client testimonial about sleep apnea and a CPAP? So I have a really sweet client, and she has been on a CPAP for, I think, 10 years. And she went carnivore in about 3 months, and she was able to get completely free from using her CPAP. So for her, obviously, it's a very different situation than from you, Todd. Yeah, 3 months, and she was able to walk away from the CPAP, and she hasn't had to go back on it since. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It could be nearly 100%. Like Todd had a longer journey, and where he started is not where most people start in terms of where he was. But I'll be honest, guys, there's probably no other remedy for sleep apnea than weight loss. And almost all my patients who actually have success with this dietary pattern they get off. And we're talking about tons of money saved. We're talking about partners who can maybe now sleep better because they have to listen to the machine too. Just so many. I mean, imagine you're a 30-year-old single person who has to use this machine, and you have to go home with your new date, and you're having your first sleepover. Seriously.
Right.
And you have to face that, right? And taking that away and not having to, because these are the things that people who have it think about. We don't think about it if we never had this, but just imagine what that's like. And you're now giving them a new lease on life. Maybe don't even date or go to the next phase of the dating because they're worried about how people are going to react to that. So when you make these lifestyle changes, you change lives in a way that is hard to just describe on a live stream. It's just an amazing thing. And all we're trying to do is restore hope for people who have been told by some doctor who never learned this stuff, you're going to be on this machine for the rest of your life. Wow. And the reality is that's just not true. I'm just happy for Todd.
Yeah.
When you're saying that, I was thinking of the dangers of CPAPs. I have a story on my YouTube channel that everybody thought was funny, but it was honest to God truth, where one night my bed's pretty big and I had to pull the CPAP onto the bed. And one night it was wintertime, my dog sleeps in the bed, and I threw my blankets over the dog and over the CPAP machine. And then she was having a bad night and she cut cheese under the covers. And then it blasted.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
Sorry about the dangers of CPAPs. do not put
Dogs
them
and CPAPs.
under the covers with the dog. So I was laughing when he said there are some unknown dangers with CPAPs. I was like, that's the truth.
Also, I always think of a CPAP like, think about our 50 years ago. Could you imagine like our ancestors and our early ancestors? Like you can't sleep without this super complex machine.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. There's like it's a deformity. It's a change that it's not natural. The fact that we're making this normal and this is like a natural part of life just doesn't make sense. It should be a huge signal to us that like, hey, a ton of people need this to sleep, that there's something wrong with our environment, that you like one of the most natural things you could ever do is freaking sleep. Right? Like if you need the assistance of technology and the technology is fear mongering you, telling you how many times you don't breathe at night, like adding to the stress of you're about to go to sleep and not breathe again. Like it's a weird cycle. It's interesting that we've gotten this far.
Yeah.
Bella,
You're muted.
Sorry, guys. So Richelle here needs to say goodnight. So let's first send her off. Love you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you for joining our live
everyone.
today.
Michelle, thanks for
Love
joining.
you guys. Good night. Putting the
Love
carnivore baby to bed.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Michelle.
And Dr. Hampton, I also don't want to keep you. Thank you so much for your time. Were you able to stay a little longer or did you want to also hop off?
I got a little bit more time. That beautiful lady is working. My wife's a pharmacist, Walmart pharmacist, and she's working late. So I'll have another 30 minutes or so. We should be good.
Oh,
Fantastic. Lucky us.
Legal drug dealers.
That's right. That's it. That's right. That's who I hang with, my friend.
That's right.
Easy. This is how I got in the gulag on YouTube.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah.
Okay, right.
Now we see who started all this and got you banned, Todd. I get it.
No, I mentioned the wrong thing, and Todd just took it. He knew all the facts.
That's how Todd works, though.
No, it was epic.
Him.
I didn't realize that it would get us in trouble, but yeah, now I know.
Rumble, guys. Click on the link in the description box. Todd's Rumble is down there. Let's keep going. Yeah. Jules T, thank you so much. I love you guys and the work you do. Thank you so much for the support. Love you back. Ideas to deal with slow digestion or lazy bowel. So what does it mean when somebody says lazy bowels? Does it just mean like the bowels are not moving quickly, because on
Motility.
carnivore that actually just happens naturally. You just don't
Yeah, it
poop as
does.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a very good point, Bella, because when we think about Ozempic, right, one of the scariest parts about the GLP-1s is that they slow gastric motility. And I've had patients who have had gastric obstructions because their intestine stops working. One of the side effects of uncontrolled diabetes is that it messes up your nervous system in your stomach, and you can get gastroparesis. So things slow down and you can't digest, because your stomach is your digestive system is like a snake. It has to be in peristalsis and constantly in motion. And when you hear belly sounds, we call it borborygmies when you hear your belly sounds, which is crazy. They come up with terms for everything. But at the end of the day, it's need to be in motion. So if it's not in motion, you need to think about ways to get it moving again. And we like our diet, but you don't want it to be too slow. So one of the things I did when I first started my journey with an irritable bowel, although it wasn't really because of a slow stomach, it was I took probiotics, and when you take probiotics, it actually increases gastric motility. For those people who tolerate coffee, I do not as much as I like, because I love coffee. Coffee actually increases gastric motility. Anybody that has issues with their stomach should always do a diary, and you start to think about certain foods that can worsen your symptoms. So make sure you're kind of doing a food diary and avoid those foods as much as possible. We tell patients to chew their food thoroughly if they're in this category. And ironically, one of the things that helps the most, and some people may notice this when they work out, sometimes they have to use the bathroom after they work out. So working out, exercise actually can increase your gastric motility. And obviously fat can give you diarrhea, but fat kind of moves through you a little bit faster. So people who are having this problem, they may want to think about increasing their fat consumption. So those are the things that kind of come to mind off the top of my head.
And hydrating, right?
Oh my God, duh, right? Exactly. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of fiber. Some people do better with fiber, but I think it's a bloater. To me, it makes me feel worse. And I just don't think, I think fiber is the equivalent of putting more cars on the expressway and expecting the expressway to actually move faster. Is stupid. But again, if it works for you, have at it. But I don't think that's the right answer.
You're going to get more borborygmies,
right?
It's a Greek word. It's a Greek onomatopoeia that means to rumble.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You should call it that, Todd.
Right. That's awesome. I was just thinking that would make a good carnivore channel.
Exactly.
Rumble. I like it.
That's true.
That's awesome. Here we go.
Awesome. Thank you, Astral. My son is on carnivore for 2 years now for severe constipation. The first 2 months developed severe pain in the bladder. Still ongoing, no infection. Could it be oxalate dumping? And how do I help him?
So
severe
he's
pain in
having
the bladder. Yeah.
But also constipation. Still constipation though?
Over 2 years now. Severe constipation.
Yeah.
And he's having infections too, right? So
gallbladder.
I'm not sure about this one.
How do we know it's the bladder? Like that's a very precise.
Right.
I know. It's a little hard to really tease this one out. And it does sound like, as you just suggested, this is one of those situations where you just want to start to think about, I need to do some more testing to kind of figure this out. But he's having no infection, still ongoing, no infection. Okay. Yeah, this is tough. And I think this is one of those situations where you have to start to have a conversation with the doctor to this is a son. So it sounds like a very young person. Whenever we have patients who are having constipation and they're not getting better, we start to think about, we may have to have the gastroenterologist to take a peek to just make sure there's no structural stuff going on. A young person does really well with a squatty potty. I really have been a big fan of that. If you guys haven't seen those, and it, babies squat because that's a more natural way for stools to come out. So since this is a young person, I would absolutely make that investment on Amazon just to get that going. Make sure he's highly hydrated, and then get a gastroenterologist to take a look, just a pediatric version, of course, to take a look. So yeah, that's how I would approach that.
Squatty potties and bidets are life changing. You got to invest.
I need
Bidet.
a bidet too, man. We haven't
I
done
know,
that yet.
right? A bidet.
We need that. Anybody?
Japan-
Do you have one? Do you have a bidet?
No, I've used them. My my old roommate used to have one. I was like, this is epic. I
Yeah,
know.
we need that. That should be the
Asians
thing.
love these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually have a hose on my faucet.
Really?
Some of those hairdressers.
Yeah.
Yeah. With
I
the
mean, if
shower
you think
head.
about it, guys, what's logical about taking some tissue and just smearing
Right.
stuff?
With more.
That's not cleaning nothing.
That's
I
a
mean,
good
it really
point.
isn't. So we can do better than
Right.
that. So we need to
Yeah,
step
yeah.
up our game and follow.
We need to step
our-
up our game.
Sure.
Japan knows.
Yes, I love Japan.
They do know. Well, I
all
do
all
see,
you're doing is irritating hemorrhoids.
but like nice restaurants or places or hotels or whatever, they serve like wet wipes instead of toilet paper. So
Oh,
in
yeah.
a way, I guess
That makes
that's a
more
little bit
sense.
better.
Yeah, but the chemicals though. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
but the
know.
chemicals.
Sorry.
No,
I
no
know.
chemicals. It's just
Oh,
baby
okay.
wipes.
Oh,
Just
okay,
water,
okay.
water wipes.
Oh, baby
flushable.
wipes is water? I always thought baby wipes was alcohol.
Not all of them are.
Okay.
You have to check.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even those are kind of
Mhm.
questionable.
To be fair, water is a
Yeah.
chemical, the hydrogen monoxide. But yes, I know what you're saying. Unnatural chemicals.
Right, right. So keep us
Funny,
posted
yeah.
on your son,
Good one.
please. We hope he feels better. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Jules, another question. VDR is homozygous. Can this cause a bit of D deficiency or vitamin D deficiency? And what kind of symptoms?
It's interesting. So you have this VDR, which is a vitamin D receptor issue. It's it plays a role in your body's like response to vitamin D. So, and they're trying to figure out what kind of symptoms are present with this. Was that the question asking? So when you have, we know that receptor, that vitamin D receptor, obviously it binds to vitamin D, and it can interact with your DNA to regulate your expression of the genes that have something to do with your calcium. I don't know I know what causes some of the symptoms of vitamin D deficiency, but this is kind of a genetic issue. And I'm not sure if you can override it with like just taking vitamin D. I just know it's a genetic variant that it can occur, and people who are more susceptible to like bone problems, like anything dealing with autoimmune disease. And since vitamin D is also important for cancer, people with this type of problem, they have issues around cancer, and people don't know that vitamin D deficiency increases the risk for cancer big time, which is why. And of course, during COVID, vitamin D and a deficiency in obesity were some of the biggest risk factors because of how your immune system is affected. So, but beyond that, I can't say I know a ton about this. I've not had a patient who came in with this. I just know it's a deficiency that can negatively affect your vitamin D level. And anything that's related to your vitamin D level being low can be impacted. So I'm assuming the biggest symptom, though, is some thin out bones and a poor immune response to infection. So, and we can probably look up and find some other stuff, but that's what makes sense.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Hampton.
Very
Let's keep
specific
going.
question.
Very specific.
See, family doctors, we see hypertension, diabetes, congestive heart.
You're awesome. Jay wants to know, how do I use suet? So for those who don't know what suet is, SUET, raw beef fat. I think it's specifically the trimmed off fat off the kidneys, the raw kidney beef fat. Yeah. So I see people nodding. So that's what it is. How do you use suet, Chad?
Every single day. Um,
Sorry.
yeah, you're exactly right. It's this big chunk of fat that surrounds the viscera, and it's kind of like a protective layer. So when you have visceral fat, that's actually kind of like your suet, right? That the doctors refer to. So anyway, that fat it has a lot of stearic acid in it, and it's very, very good for you. But what I just do is, like, if I'm cooking something on the smoker or the grill, I'll get a big chunk of it, like 2 ounces. And with each meal, I'll just put that in like the top layer of the smoker, and I'll wait until it just kind of gets more like gelatin, like more like kind of like Jello, where it's a little bit softer. Now just eat it just like that. Put some salt on it and eat it. Yeah, I think it's delicious. And if you ever look at most carnivores, yeah, when I watch Dr. Paul Saladino talk about this, he talks about the Hadza tribe a lot. And what's very interesting is the Hadza eat a lot of organs. And I always tell people, look at what they're eating, not what they're eating. And what I mean by that is that the Hadza are forced to eat baboons. And so the organs are the fattiest part of the baboon. But if you look up like the Inuit, they just eat like seal blubber. They just eat blubber. They just eat fat. And so what you have to realize is all these people, when you look at these examples, they're eating the fattiest part. And so if you look up like what a lion eats when it first gets the kill, or what like, for example, when monkeys catch another monkey, what they eat when they first get the kill, they're going to eat the fattiest part first. And so for a large animal that is a herbivore, for us, like a ruminant animal, a cow, you're going to get straight to the kidney fat, right? Which is the suet. And so that's why, like, you see, they are attracted to that. When monkeys get other monkeys, they actually rip open the skull and eat the brains first, because that's going to have the highest omega-3 content. Other animals might go for bone marrow. You'll see a dog literally chew on a bone for hours just tasting the residue bone marrow, right? So what you have to realize is beef suet is probably one of the richest sources of fat that you can get to. And so whether you eat it raw or you just warm it up, while you're cooking something else, cook it in the pan, however you want to, it's probably one of the best sources of fat that you can get. And I had to trade out. I had to increase my fat. And this is how I found out about beef suet, because I wasn't doing good with butter, with dairy. And so that's how I get my fat now. And so I eat beef suet every day. And right now I have a butcher that sells it for $1 a pound. And so, man, like for $5, I'm good for 2 weeks. So it's pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I always say for those who say I can't tolerate butter because maybe of the lactose in butter, or they don't love the taste, which I find that odd. Butter tastes so good. But let's say somebody cannot tolerate butter, right? Then go to ghee, Ghee. If that doesn't do well for you, then I always recommend suet, SUET. Or beef fat trimmings, also raw beef fat. You can get it for $1 to $3 at your local butcher shops. All you have to do is just call them and request for it. And then you eat it raw, but eating it raw could taste like a candle. And what do you guys think in the live stream right now? Have you ever tried suet raw? Do you like it? I love it. I love that it sticks to my teeth and it's like gum. It's so delicious. But if you can't handle that feeling in your mouth, you can air fry it. I see so many carnivores call it carnivore crack. Apparently it's like delicious and addicting because it's nice and crispy and flavorful. So air fry it at 450 degrees Fahrenheit until it gets crispy. So try that. Okay, let's keep going. Hi, Lively Lioness. What can I do to stop my hands and feet from feeling so cold? I've been carnivore since 2021. Wow, 3 years. Congrats. With occasional lapses into keto. My hands, nose, feet, hips get really cold. Well, I'll start with you, Dr. Hampton.
That's very interesting. The first thing I tell people is let's make sure we are not, you don't want to get into this carnivore place and assume that everything is going to be okay and that you're doing fine. So you want to make sure that you're okay. So I always think about, first of all, my older patients tend to complain of these things. That's partly because their ability to regulate their body temperature is different. So their thyroid function may be a little off because they're getting a little older. Their subcutaneous skin may not be as much as they used to have. So you want to make sure that's not what's happening. You do have people who actually have medical conditions like Raynaud's. You've heard of that probably. And when they get exposed to certain temperatures, they may over respond and they feel cold in a way that they shouldn't. It may even make, so if your hands get a little bluish when you feel that sensation, you may have to see a doctor to talk about Raynaud's. If it were in the lower extremities, you worry about peripheral artery disease and those types of things. So I think the first thing is to understand it could be a medical issue. Also, if a person has conditions like diabetes, and you think about neuropathy, because your nerves is what makes you feel hot or cold, right? So even though you may be healing with carnivore or keto, when you're changing, because your body likes to be like in a homeostatic, it wants to stay the same. So when your sugars are improving, sometimes your nerves get a little irritated, which is really bizarre. And that could give you those symptoms as well. Obviously, your thyroid can be an issue as well. You can be anemic. So you're going to want to do your standard panels to make sure that all of those things are okay. And if those things are okay, then you want to ask yourself, am I hydrating sufficiently? And we've talked about hydration a lot tonight. So make sure that you're doing an adequate job with that. So I think it's a little, why is a carnivore feeling cold is really the interesting question. And it's really, I know your body's going through a lot, but if it's something, I've had people literally just lose a ton of weight and they're wondering why they're cold.
Right.
Well, because you lost a lot of weight. You have all of that insulation that's gone. And in Chicago, where I'm at, if I'm in the room like freezing, all of my patients who are considered, in the obese category, they're like, oh, it feels great. And then everybody else is like, no, it's freezing. So there's that too. So if you've had some success with weight loss, I think that that's a logical conclusion. And as your body's adjusting, you may have to just layer up. But that's kind of what comes to mind. I'm not sure if there's other like specific carnivore reasons for this. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts, but that's what comes to mind.
Yeah. I want to chime in. So there's this popular phrase called meat sweats that a lot of carnivores go through. So in my head, when I read Lively Lioness's comment, I wonder if she's eating enough. Because when you really push it and you eat enough and maybe eat prime, basically, when you prime and you eat a lot intentionally, there's no way your body temperature is not going to go up. There's no way you might not even sweat a little bit. So I wonder if you're eating enough and maybe you might be chronically under eating and you might not know it. Because when I was on a vegan diet, I had all of those. Yeah. It sounds just like my vegan life. Like freezing cold hands, like playing piano was impossible, but somehow I still did it. They're just ice fingers. And I just remember that's all I had. Like cold hands, I had to run it under scorching hot water, nose always runny, feet always cold, hips. I'm not sure about the hips, but in Chinese culture, you never, ever, ever put your bare feet on cold floors. That is so bad for your joints, very bad for your health. But if you're not Asian, don't even listen to that. This is just how we were raised. This is how we were raised. That just went up in my head when I was talking about the hips. It's like our ovaries cannot be anywhere close to cold weather, cold temperature. We do not like cold therapy. We don't believe in that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like hypoglycemic, right? Like low blood sugar, chronic low blood sugar, which could happen if you are not eating enough. Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my first thought.
I agree.
Me too.
Okay. Great. Keep us posted, Lively Lioness. Try that. ABC Chiropractic. And Dr. Hampton, I don't want to keep you from your beautiful wife, so hop off anytime. Just cut us off and be like, hey, I gotta go.
Cool. It's getting close, but I'm almost
getting close. Okay. Gotcha. So ABC says I'm 2.5 months in, going really well. Yay, congrats. My feet are now feeling like I've been wearing bad shoes. Really, really sore. Help. Any ideas? Todd, any ideas?
Bad shoes.
Man, bad shoes.
They hurt.
Months and going really well.
My feet are now feeling like I've been wearing.
Well, I
bad
called on you,
Well-
Todd, because maybe it could be like lymphatic.
Well, it could be because so what I was thinking, because I had to reread that, but I had neuropathy from lymphedema and swelling, and it was the craziest thing because my legs were numb, my feet were numb, I couldn't move my toes individually, and those type of things. And when I started healing, I was getting feeling back, and it wasn't pleasant at first at
Right.
all. It was painful. And so I was wondering if maybe you have some neuropathy and something's feeling funny, because it went from feeling like things were weird, like my feet were sore, to feeling like the bottom of my feet were on fire, for days at a time.
There, yeah.
So that's what I was wondering, if maybe some neuropathy is healing or something.
Yep.
Yeah. It's likely, again, we talked about how when you're making these changes, you may feel worse
yeah.
before you
Yeah.
feel better. When I have patients with these types of symptoms, I do think about neuropathy. And if I were to supplement for this, I would recommend, although it's not animal-based, I would, again, herbs are medicine. They're just more natural. So we do it temporarily. Some people will take turmeric temporarily to reduce the inflammation. If you do that and you tolerate it, the brand that I recommend is Meriva, Meriva, because it's the most potent brand that you can get on the market. It's on Amazon. I would also recommend, we talked about vitamin D3, K2. That's another thing that's probably going to help your nerves. And the last thing are the B vitamins, the Bs, B6, B12. They're very helpful. If you get a really high quality, maybe food-based B complex vitamin, that may help just to mitigate the symptoms temporarily. I anticipate they will go away eventually, but it may just give you a little bit of a little help for a few months until things settle down.
Paula in the comments said it's typical oxalate dumping symptoms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Impossible there. I want to say that, from what I've noticed going through my carnivore journey, there would be on and off issues I would have. For example, like my feet would have those, sometimes I'll get pain. I'll get my heel spurs really acting up. These last typically about 2 weeks. Then all of a sudden it's silent for a little bit again. And then it starts again. But it's like later on, it's almost like it's working on some part of my body and then just stops. It's the weirdest thing, but I don't know how to explain it. That happened to my mid back. That happened to certain other areas in my body. But I never felt like it was so bad and torturous that I had to go to a doctor, but it was just uncomfortable. So I just want to let you know that's been my experience, and I've noticed that in some other people too.
That's good. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks so
a
much.
lot of help. Perfect. This is for you, Dr. Hampton. Hopefully you can take this one. Viking Cat says, carnivore isn't working for me. I was diagnosed with familial hypercholesterolemia, now type 2. Will be on metformin soon if I don't reverse this. Thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first of all, metformin is okay if you are concerned about your blood sugar and you need it for bridge therapy. So it's okay to take temporarily, but if it's if you're type 2, this is a dietary disease. So it is essentially a drop in a bucket compared to what the diet should have done for you. I'm really surprised that the diet has not done your diabetes a much better service than what you've experienced, because almost all my patients who enter this dietary pattern will do just fine. And we don't know exactly how long you've been carnivore, but it's hard to have type 2 diabetes when you are having this type of dietary pattern. Although I do recommend that you also just make sure, I'm sure this has happened. I just want to make sure that you've had your C-peptide test. You've had your antibodies to the islet cells, so that way you can make sure that you're getting all the things that you need. Now, when you're dealing with familiar hypercholesterolemia, that's when we do want to, because that's a genetic disease. And in that setting, you may want to talk to a doctor who's a cardiologist who specializes in that, because this is a very rare condition, and it does increase your risk for cholesterol deposits in your arteries. So I think that that's a real thing that you may have to deal with. Therefore, I think the lifestyle you've chosen is still the right lifestyle. The real question becomes, are there people out there who should still consider medicines that we kind of say, we poo-poo statins, and ezetimibe is another type of anti-cholesterol medicine that we poo-poo. But at the end of the day, you may be able to take a non-statin version of a medicine that may reduce your risk. I would get a heart scan, see where you stand. Has your arteries been impacted by this condition already? But I do not think that metformin is a magical solution, because I don't think that it'll add enough benefit unless you're thinking about doing it like temporarily. If you do it temporarily, metformin does increase your insulin sensitivity. Metformin will reduce inflammation. So if you do it temporarily while you're continuing your carnivore journey, I think that you may land in down the road in a place where you can get off that medicine and just focus on the lifestyle. But when you have this specific problem, you do want to start to think about talking to someone who has experience in this area. Now, the question is, how do you find a metabolically trained cardiologist like a Dr. Brett Scher, right? And I don't know if Dr. Brett Scher, as an example, who is with the Diet Doctor now at Metabolic Mind, if he does virtual work, but if he does, that's what you want to look for. So I would go to the Diet Doctor website. I would go to the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners website. I would go to a website to do a search for a heart doctor in your area who has metabolic training, because most doctors in this space will just load you up on medicine, and that may not be the best solution for you. So that's how I would approach it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Hampton. Okay. Do we have any more super chats that we need to finish?
That's the last one, but I just checked and I don't see a comment again from Nav, and Nav usually is really good at that. Nav, let us know if you have a comment to go with that, because I do not see it in here. I went up a couple hundred chats back and I did not see it anywhere.
Okay, well then we'll keep an eye on Nav, but we're going to continue doing the questions. But I just wanted to give Dr. Hampton a chance to share how we can support him, where we can find him, because I know he has to go soon.
Absolutely, this is my 2 minutes away from leaving. So, but again, you guys are a service to me, because some of the things I've been a carnivore, it'll be coming up on 2 years soon. I'm still learning. And I still live in a conventional world where I'm surrounded by people that look at me like I'm weird, but that's okay. But what I'm trying to do in my large health system, which is Advocate Health, is to integrate this way of thinking into our health system, because if we can impact a health system that's one of the top 10 size-wise in the country, then we can impact a lot more people, because we still have people trying to destroy our YouTube channel. So we have to get into the conventional world as well. So, but anyway, what I do on my channel, which is just my name, Dr. Tony Hampton, is I have a podcast, and I, periodically make a video short, but ultimately I believe that metabolic health is the solution. So rather people are doing low carb, keto, or carnivore, my goal is to have a metabolic revolution, which is why we did that in Washington on October 13th. You can go to metabolicrevolution.org to learn more about that, and work with people like Ken Berry with the Society the American Diabetes Society, and other organizations to help spread this word. So I just appreciate you guys for inviting me. I really appreciate the work you're doing, and we have to spread beyond the walls of this group to others. And so we're not going to preach to people, but we just want them to know that we want to normalize carnivore. We want to normalize metabolic health and normalize that diabetes is not a permanent diagnosis. Obesity is not permanent. Sleep apnea is not permanent. We can reverse all of these things. And as long as we're saying that and they see examples of that, there's hope for people. So again, Bella, thank you for the invite. All you guys, Coach,
Anytime.
everybody. Thank you,
Love
guys.
you, Dr. Hampton. Round of applause.
Yes.
Everybody clap. We love you. I will make sure to link Dr. Hampton in the description. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We'll
Have a
see
good
you
night.
soon.
Enjoy the rest, guys.
Have a
Thank
good night,
you.
Dr. Hampton.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. For those watching the playback and who are still here, go support him. He's one of my favorite carnivore voices. He's so funny, so down to earth, and open-minded. So I'm very happy we got to feature him. Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
Oh, and those guys are the real heroes, because I think about it every day. The doctors that are willing to speak out and not walk the line of the status quo. I mean, I can't even talk about it on YouTube and I'm getting banned. And those guys are
Lose their jobs.
yeah, those guys put it all on the line to speak the truth and to not just follow the establishment. So anyhow, definitely support those guys. They need it the most, and they're the ones that are going to make the most impact in my mind.
Absolutely. All righty, let's keep going. Joseph, and by the way, rest of my friends here, the team, hop off anytime. I don't know how long I'm going to go on for, but my husband is not at home. He's in Seattle doing some family business. So I literally have all night. So just an update, okay? If you guys need to leave, like Raymond, I know you have your family. Hop off anytime. Hop off any. Okay.
15 more minutes. We're
15
good.
more minutes. Let's do this. Okay, Joseph, thank you so much. Haven't been able to make it a full week without falling back into pizza nachos and pancakes via DoorDash and coworkers. I also do not cook. Any advice? Great question.
Wow.
Start
Raymond,
cooking.
go ahead. Oh.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I'm going to say is go ahead and take a chance of priming. So, but since you don't cook, it's going to be rather expensive. Either way, it doesn't matter. Think boiled eggs, think steak and eggs, think bacon, lots of it, however you can get that much. But first thing is making sure you eat 3 meals a day. You never want to be hungry in carnivore. That's the biggest tip. If you are hungry and you need a snack, have snacks handy. Cheese wisps is a great snack. Little bacon bites are great snacks. Boiled eggs that you just have sitting. I'm assuming you might have a fridge, but you may not have a fridge. But I would have that running in the fridge. I would have jerky also lying around wherever you have. Eat as much as you need to. And if you're having coffee or tea, have that as dessert. And give yourself 2 weeks. You notice you can't make it the first week, right? Once you're over on that 2-week hump, you don't need to take it as serious. You can go to 2 meals from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Chad?
I was just saying, I think it's time to learn to cook it. Once you start cooking, I think once you start cooking your own carnivore meals, there's nothing that's better than that. Todd and I had a conversation yesterday that it struck me as odd. I went to a steakhouse after being carnivore for a while. And I was so excited to have someone cook like a perfect steak for me. And then I was like, I cook it better. Yeah, and I was so thrown off by that. But the other thing is what happened with me, where I know the feeling you're talking about, where your body like shuts down and you just like start eating things that you don't want to. Anyway, the thing I always suggest is try bone broth. Your body is not asking for nachos. Your body is asking for quick energy, and it's asking for nutrients. If you're not fat adapted and your body doesn't know how to digest the meat, bone broth, liquid version or powder version of food and nutrients is the quickest way to get energy and nutrients. So anyway, when you start getting those cravings, try some bone broth. It's easy. It's easy to go down. You don't have to cook it. And then I bet you that'll curb some of the cravings.
You know what? That's a good point, Chad. First of all, air fryer.
Yeah, I wanted to say that too.
Okay, go ahead.
My favorite gadgets.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adek.
No, Raymond, I mean, that was the first thing that I bought when I was thinking I'm going to go carnivore tomorrow. I bought an air fryer because I saw Bella use it. Sorry, and then that's all I use here. I don't even have a kitchen. I don't have so I just have my 2 air fryers, and that's how I cook my steaks, and they're the best. Okay, I have an Instapot too now, but that's start off with 2 air fryers.
I just had 2 perfect New York strip steaks that I cooked in my air fryer. So when
you don't have to look at it, put it in.
Yeah. When you don't have a lot of time, throw it in, take it out, eat, done. Exactly. But I want to take some more time for Joseph's question. I understand that not everyone knows how to cook or even enjoys cooking. And maybe this is Joseph. Maybe he has a busy job and a busy life. And this is what is making it so darn hard to stay on track, because his coworkers are literally handing him these meals, these standard American diet meals. So it's hard. If I were to tell, like, let's say Max, my husband, he was a new carnivore. He wasn't my husband. I was like, learn to cook. That's kind of hard. He doesn't know how to cook. So what is he going to do? Right? He needs to literally lean on things that he can get quickly while he learns how to cook. So maybe Joseph, you can check out the videos that I posted on my YouTube channel. I have a pancakes recipe, by the way. So if you try it out and you like it, that could be your go-to kind of cheat meal to lean on. That is 100% carnivore. You can enjoy it with butter. You can enjoy it with raw honey if you're more animal based. Don't feel bad that you keep falling off track. It actually takes many carnivores multiple tries to try to make it stick, like Chad. Same. Raymond as well. I'm sure, like, so many of us have needed multiple tries. So those who are in the live stream, let's help out Joseph here. What do you recommend for him if he keeps falling off track eating these junk foods? What do you think will help him? Let's all share. Okay, let's keep going. Missed. No more blueberries, and thank you for last week's advice. Yay. Thank you for coming back and following up. We love that. I quit them and I'm doing better. I also learned Wednesday. Yeah. I also learned Wednesday that my new doctor is carnivore 3 months in.
Wow. Did you do that, Miss? Did you convert him?
Did you convert him?
Right. Never
Did
know.
you convert? That's so fun.
Awesome.
Yay. Thank you so much for the update.
Yes,
For those who are new here, maybe we can talk a little bit about Mist's last week question, what she asked. So if you guys remember, she was the one who asked, should I cut out the blueberries? And then we all advised, like, you won't know if it's going to help if you don't cut it out.
Yeah, just do it for a week.
Look at her. She said,
You noticed.
Yeah.
I did.
Awesome.
already doing better.
I'm doing better.
Very inspiring. Yeah. Thank you, Mist. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Lively Linus. What types of plates do you eat off of? My husband's glass plates keep splitting when I put hot meat on it. It's very cold, so I'm not surprised. What do you eat off of, Todd?
Cutting boards. I buy a ton of wood.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
Nice.
Yeah, I hate plates. And so I have like 25 cutting boards now and they're all big. And I just buy those and keep them on the counter, and I prepare the food and eat it right there on the cutting board. That's my favorite for sure.
I wanted to ask, have you guys tried the Himalayan cutting board looking thingies, salt? Because I've always wondered what that's like. You have? How does it mess with your food?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Especially with the salt.
Yeah. When I was in Wyoming, I went to go to Tyler McCann's home for like a dinner after the wedding, and he made us carne cruda, which is basically he takes a raw piece of steak and he takes out his salt board and he cuts the raw steak into tiny little cubes on that salt board. And while he's cutting it, he's marinating it in that flavor and in that salt. And he served that to us like a beef sashimi plate.
Oh, wow.
It was divine. It was absolutely delicious. Yes. So
Not too salty.
not at all. It tasted almost aged like beef jerky. The flavor was so deep and smoky almost.
And it was raw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Nice.
Fascinating. Cool.
That was super
That sounds
cool.
really good. Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
What do you eat off of, Raymond?
Just a normal porcelain plate. I think they're porcelain. I don't know. Just normal plate.
Nice. Adek?
The air fryer oven pan.
Oh, I love that.
Wow. I
No need a
love
plate.
that.
I love that. Great idea.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chad?
Yeah, cutting boards.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cute, Adek. Most of the time I'm cooking my meal in whatever cookware that I use, and I really do eat it. Like if I'm
out of
in a
pan.
cast iron, I'm just gonna eat right off the cast iron, less dishes.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Why do you want that work? Right.
Less chemicals, less involvement, less
Yeah,
wasting water. Yeah,
exactly.
just
Yeah.
minimalize.
Oh yeah,
Me and,
because
me and my family just surround like one big cutting board and we eat off.
Oh,
that's so
now
nice.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
cool.
You should take a picture of
You're
that.
living the dream there, Chad. That's awesome.
well, yeah, because seriously, like if it's on plastic, then that gets in the food. I can
Yeah.
taste all plastic now, and
Mhm.
if it's on porcelain,
It's warm.
that dulls the heck out of your knives, and that makes me
Sounds
furious
good.
when you dull up your knives on the porcelain. You know,
I use
Pull
scissors,
up your
guys.
yeah.
Yes. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So what about you guys watching the live stream? Comment, what do you eat your carnivore meals off of? Plates, cutting boards? We'd love to know. Victoria, what is the best way to gain weight? Ooh, I love these refreshing questions about
Yeah.
gaining weight.
Yeah.
So rare these days. Adek, you start.
I usually, I don't know, you guys have to remind me if this is good or not. Yeah, start with dairy.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
what I would say.
Yeah.
Start with dairy.
Definitely dairy.
Raymond, go ahead.
Dairy, raw milk, just a bunch of eggs. I can tell you if you're going to eat a lot of meat, you can actually potentially lose a good bit. So that's the annoying part. But I
But if you
gain
can't
pretty
tolerate
easily.
dairy, if you can't tolerate dairy, what would you
If,
advise?
oh, that's a good question. If you
Yeah.
can't talk, eggs is another good choice. Anything that has minimal carbs. But what if you can't tolerate eggs? Then what? Todd, you
Yeah.
got
I
Work
like-
out.
Well,
Work out, yeah. You're right. Thank you.
I know.
You're right.
but
You're really looking at weight gain, yeah.
Yeah, if I was wanting to get more fat and meat in, and I couldn't have dairy for that purpose, then I found that slow cooked like chuck roast with a bunch of added fat and a little bit of vinegar in it to emulsify it to help do it. That's what I use on my mom a lot of times to help her put on weight because she had gastric bypass.
Really?
And- yeah, because it just goes down a lot easier. It doesn't go down like when you slow cook like a chuck roast for hours, and then you can kind of use that apple cider vinegar helps emulsify the fat, which helps the fat and the beef broth bond together and make like a gravy. Then they can get more of it down. It sticks on you. It's kind of hyper palatable. Does a pretty good job.
Nice.
Yeah, you're the expert here, Todd, because you're trying to nurture your mom, to health and keep her weight healthy. So that is very, very smart. Do you ever blend meat for her to drink, like a smoothie?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blend it. She's so picky with certain things. She doesn't like kind of crazy stuff. But I will cook like a chuck roast for 12 hours until it's super fall apart, and then I'll cut her meat against the grain really small.
Delicious.
Okay.
And then she can get a fair amount of that down.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very
But
smart.
Yeah.
body composition will continue to change even to your 90s.
Yeah.
Right. And they've seen lots of people gain weight by starting to work out. And the more you work out, and we're talking about resistance training, right? We're not trying to burn calories. We're talking about resistance training, break down the muscle. And that's going to actually make you hungrier. And so then you're going to eat more.
Okay.
And that's like muscle weight, it weighs more than fat weight, right? So if you're looking to gain weight, you want to build muscle. So we're not just trying to put on carb weight,
Yeah, and prime. I mean, I was yelling at you in my head today, Raymond, because I've been repriming And I had to make myself half sick the other day because I'm like, I don't feel like my metabolism's there yet. So I made myself eat 4.5 pounds of ribeye in one sitting.
Nice.
I took it down, and it was brutal, and I got it down.
I
But
know,
then
right?
Comfortable? Still comfortable?
I was super uncomfortable, but I woke up this
You were
morning
uncomfortable.
and I
Got
was
it.
starving this morning. I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, good. You opened it. You opened the appetite. Good job.
Yeah. So I went back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went back and had 4 pounds of ribeye today, and I took it down no problem. So I was like, all right. So yeah, you're definitely priming to open up your appetite and build the metabolism. That works. It only took one miserable pile of meat.
Yeah. I would do that. I would
Was
get
it
myself
smoked?
to the point of
Did
uncomfortable.
you smoke it?
Not this time. I was in a hurry and I was kind of mad, so I air fried 3 like 1.3 pound prime ribeyes, and I took them all down, and I was lethargic and not feeling good after I got them all down. And I woke up this morning, and then today when I had 4 pounds of ribeye, I felt like euphoric. I had so much energy and just felt good, and I'm like, all right, my metabolism's back. That was the last one. I was like, all right, I got to give Raymond props when I see him. That's working.
Works.
Yay! That's so cool. That's one of my
really good.
favorite phenomenons of priming, which again, for those that are new, eating a lot intentionally, basically. That's what it is you eat a lot and then the next morning you feel this surge in energy, but you also feel your appetite open up. Exactly like what Todd said. That is a win right there. That is not a nightmare. That is a win.
No,
we have to relearn.
Yeah, you do that and you start going like that for a couple of days and you start waking up. You're like, you start getting new definition and new muscle tone and things start popping out. I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and when you're Bella.
Go ahead.
When-
Go ahead.
When your body opens up like that, it also, and I don't know if you noticed this, Todd, it digests so much better. Everything goes in so quickly, well. It's like it's ready to take on whatever you're putting in it.
It does. I know. And it kind of creates a monster because I already had like just 2 hours before this live stream, I had 4 pounds of ribeye, and I'm going to do it again when we get done.
Lovely.
Right now it's just chewing up the ribeye right now. And I'm like, that's good. Because then now I love it because now I go out in the gym and just things feel lighter and everything just pops, like you just get thick, pretty quick. And so when she was saying that, I think lifting, like Chad said, absolutely. But eating like Raymond primes has his prime, that does work. Like it's work, but it works. It's effective.
The reason I love Chad's point on working out, and I really think working out is great, but there's so many people that just don't even have the energy or capable of doing it. So I like the point of doing it by food. And usually by priming, after a while, when you can't anymore, you start wanting to move. You start wanting to burn that energy. You start getting the meat sweats, all of that. So there's definite benefits in eating enough.
Oh, there's huge benefits. It makes you want to go, like when I eat like that, I wake up and go, I want to eat 4 pounds of meat, and then I want to go grab something really heavy in the gym and throw it around for about an hour.
That's it. Exactly.
But I would really like to help her because sometimes with priming, especially for people having a hard time gaining weight, they might just need to have a little bit, one-on-one help, because there's more to it than just, because I actually lost weight, I think, or
when
stayed
you ate more
priming. So it's different for everyone as well. So this is we need more info.
Right. Of course. There's always so many factors, but hopefully that was helpful. Keep us posted. Come back. Great. Thank you, Alex. Alex says, wondering if you have any recommendations for low glucose levels. It drops out of nowhere. I've been animal-based for over 90 days now. Thoughts, Chad? Do you track your glucose levels?
I used to have to. And when I found out I was hypoglycemic, it was kind of like a shock, but it made sense with what my symptoms were doing. I would say, and I'm very strict with my carnivore diet. So if it were me, I would say if you're animal based, that means you're still eating carbs. That means you're still causing a little bit of inflammation, insulin spikes, and other issues in your body, including what's going on with your pancreas all the way to your liver. And so, what I would do, is I would try going full carnivore, because that's when I saw my glucose levels balance out. Very interesting. I talked to you guys about my labs quite a bit, but it's like as I've gone from animal-based to full carnivore, my LDL lowered, my HDL went up, my glucose levels balanced out. So a lot of good things. So yeah, moving from the animal-based to carnivore is what I would say would make a huge difference, and that's what fixed my hypoglycemia.
I fight hypoglycemia with my brother John, and my mom both have hypoglycemia. And John, he just has, so I get him the carnivore bars with the honey in them because they have just a couple of grams of carbs, but they mitigate it with a ton of fat. So you get a little bit of carbs, brings your glucose up, but it doesn't spike your insulin too bad. So it does pretty good for him because they just have like 6 grams. But for my mom, I just tried to do, because she will go on to a sugar spree because it reawakens her sugar cravings. So with her, I like to see her eat animal carbs. So like cheese and eggs, because the animal carbs seem to bring it up the best. So yeah.
So I want to say, just to be clear, so if you're saying low glucose levels, if you're getting hypoglycemia, that is definitely a problem. But I just want to let you guys know that as carnivores, we're used to having pretty low glucose readings. That's not normal. It depends on how you feel. The question is that if your low blood glucose levels at 60 or maybe even down to 40, and you feel fine, then that's not a part of concern.
Right. Sure. I think that people, though, who they're having too much insulin being responsive, which is lowering their blood glucose to an unnatural level, that's because they are aggravating it with carbs. So the second you get over that carb limit, that's what we're going to see. So I know this is the weirdest kind of like, we've been taught, it's like, hey, your blood sugar's low, so give you sugar.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's kind of like drinking the unicorn blood. It's like it keeps you alive for a little bit longer, but kills you every time you do it. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you're going to temporarily fix that issue, but then in the long run, you kill yourself a little bit more. So I think that's why going full carnivore is a thing that will solve the root issue, but not get rid of the symptom in the first place.
Yeah.
I know Raymond loved that. The unicorn blood. You love unicorn.
I stopped after Todd, though. See, look at Todd. I stopped after Todd, so no more unicorns. Anyway, but I'm glad Chad did bring it up. I'm gonna go eat and spend some time with my family. So
love you, Raymond. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Much fun.
We'll see you, Raymond. Bye.
Awesome.
Take care,
Bye-bye. See you soon.
See ya. All right. I have a comment I want to address in here. I really like this comment.
Yay.
I was just scrolling, looking for more. It says, Todd, you don't need to eat 4 pounds of meat, brother. You need less at your current size. So here's what I love about this comment. And no hate here. And I know that you are definitely meaning your best here. But I was 600 pounds when I was 14. I spent 26 years doing restrictive diets that did not work at all. The answer was never, and that's what I want to get out there. The answer was never eating less. The answer is never restricting. The answer is never, being in a calorie deficit. That's all nonsense. It's what we think. I'm down 310 pounds and losing consistently and lifting and getting better composition and healing every day because I am eating, and even more so because I followed Raymond's program and I learned what a metabolism feels like for the first time in my life when it was functioning. Undereating never showed me what a healthy metabolism felt like. I never had a baseline to know what a healthy metabolism felt like when I was undereating. The reason why I ate 4 pounds of meat is not because I have an eating disorder. I don't have any eating disorder now. I don't have any weakness to anything. I frequently fast for 7 days at a time with no issues. I have no eating disorder. Nothing owns me at this point. I was completely owned by addictions for 26 years. Nothing owns me anymore. But the reason why I ate 4 pounds of meat was actually to heal my metabolism because I had done 12 consecutive rolling 7-day fasts, and I it brought my metabolism down because I had over fasted. And because I've eaten and brought my metabolism up in the past through SBG priming, I knew what a healthy metabolism felt like, and I knew I had to get it back. And I followed the steps that I'd learned before that brought my metabolism back. So that's why I ate 4 pounds of meat. And I ate, when I was priming the first time, I ate 7.5 pounds of meat a day for 6.5 months, or 7 pounds of meat a day for 6.5 months.
Yeah.
And that's what healed me. So I know where that comes from, and I know what's in everybody's head because it's been beaten into us. But that's what I'm here to tell you. That's not the way out of this. That's not the way out of this deficit and this hole by any means. So I just wanted to address that.
Good.
Well, it's not how much you're eating, it's what you're eating, right?
Yes,
They
nutrients.
just it's that experiment that we just saw with like the Diet Coke, the milk and water.
Okay.
You remember that? And so it was a Coke Zero actually. And so it was very interesting because the people who upped their amount of Coke that they were drinking gained a bunch of weight. The people who just drink water lost weight. The people who drink milk stayed the same. And then the people who drink Coke Zero, which means 0 calories, which means if we're talking about calories in, calories out, actually gained weight. So even though they were consuming less calories in their diet, they gained weight. So the whole idea of the amount of food matter that you're putting into your body and using that as a measurement for weight loss and weight gain, your body knows exactly what to do with the proper food. You know what I mean? So it's not about the calories. And like you said, the whole idea of calorie deficit being beaten into us, that we can't even, like, people can't even formulate the idea in their head that Todd lost 300 pounds eating 4 pounds of ribeyes a day. Like, you are the expert at losing weight. Who here is more of an expert on losing weight than Todd? And Todd's eating a crap ton of meat every single day.
Right. And free. That's the thing. You know, yep, you're right. I have 100 and probably 30 more pounds to lose. I don't care. Like, I would not bet on myself on any of my other diets because I've been there before, but I'm free from all that. Like, I don't have any eating disorders anymore. I don't have disordered eating. There's nothing there. So that's why I know this is just a matter of time now. And I just keep getting healthier and better every day, which is why I know this is the answer, and I see it every day now with all the people that contact me. This, the reason why they want us to believe in calorie deficits is so that we won't be able to put the onus on our food environment that's been screwed up for profit. As soon as we put the onus on the value of the calories and the quality of the calories and the nutrition, instead of just having this simple matrix that you can have whatever you want as long as you follow this simple calorie counting matrix, is silliness, because they know that it's addictive. They know that they can't stick to it. That's why they lowered the bar down. Hey, Dr. Phil's here. That's why they.
Hey, come, Dr.
Phil.
Phil.
Are you good? Are you okay? Did you have your surgery already? No.
No. That's Monday.
Oh, okay.
That's
wow.
awesome.
I
We're
just
so
joined
happy
you.
to see you.
You know, I was
Yay.
teaching a Bible study tonight, so
Oh, thank you for joining
I'm all
us.
done. So yeah, I thought I'd come in. I couldn't believe you were still live.
That's awesome.
This actually
be a
might
long
be a
one
perfect
today.
time.
What do you say,
I-
Dad?
I was thinking about signing off. My family was going to
Oh,
contact me. So this is perfect. Dr. Phil, you can replace me.
This is like a tag team, Chad.
Yeah.
Right, tag me out.
other way.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Love you so
Remember,
much,
don't-
Chad.
Don't do
Chad.
drugs. Don't do drugs and don't eat vegetables. All right. Stay safe out there.
Same thing.
Say hi to the family.
All right, I
Hey,
will.
Chad,
Thanks,
have a
guys.
good night, man. See you.
Love you all.
See you tomorrow.
Love you. My gosh. Yay.
Yeah.
So happy to see you, Dr. Phil. Welcome, welcome.
Yay.
So I just wanted to
Oh,
chime
glad
in
to
on
be
that,
here.
Todd. Yay, good. If day one Bella, where she just started carnivore, met Todd now, I would be like, only 4 pounds. That's all you can eat.
I
You can
know.
eat okay.
I had the same thing I thought as well.
Yeah. It's so personal. Like,
is.
don't look at food as in, if you're not losing weight, time to restrict even more. If you're not losing weight, you're not eating like small enough of a portion, and time to restrict or cut the calories even more. It's honestly the other way around. And I'm seeing all of these live chat messages while Todd was talking about his story. Do the opposite.
Yeah.
What they tell you. You know?
Unlearn for everything what you've just learned, what you've learned your whole life.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
100%. And I mean, I get it, right? When I was 9 months into carnivore, I was restricting, and I stalled, and I was sick, and I was getting depression back, and it was going bad. That was when I joined Steak and Butter Gang, and they had to convince at the time I was still 500 pounds and was over 500 pounds that I needed to eat more. And I'm like, you guys have got to be wrong. But as also, I knew that I'd tried everything else, and I tried the calorie restricted thing. I'm like, what do I got to lose? It hasn't worked for 26 years. Restricting has never worked, and this makes sense. So, and it changed everything. It really did. It got me through that, and actually, before I was losing weight, but after priming, I was healing, which are two totally different sides of this program for sure.
And I know Bella, the same as we were starving our whole lives, and suddenly we didn't have to. I mean, that was like, can we eat now? That's how I felt when I started. And it just really opened up.
Adek's story and mine so similar. That's how we got so close when we first met. But I do want to say you cannot just look at a person and tell if they're starving or not. That's actually not true. Okay, so Adek may look very, very, very small and petite, but she may be so fully and beautifully nourished. Todd, on the other hand, if you saw him 2 years ago when he just joined us, he was malnourished. So it's not about the looks, and maybe you can talk about this, Todd, this whole opposite syndrome where you see a person who has a lot of weight on their body, yet they're actually undernourished. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, it is. And it made me, when all this hit home to me and I started realizing what it was, I was like, why all these dietitians that I talked to, why didn't they ever talk about this? Because in my, and I know you have to be told something like 100 times before it sinks in, but that's where it was with me. And I was like, so you eat, it's like you have this one portal here that you put calories for fueling, but you also put building blocks for your body in there. And if you eat just highly palatable empty calories, but no building blocks, you're going to keep, your body's just going to keep storing that as fat. It's going to create an insulin resistance. It's going to create metabolic problems, but your body, your brain's still going to be looking for protein, fat, the things that it's starving for. So it keeps calling, and it screws everything up, And so of course, if you eat the fiber and the carbohydrates and the highly processed things, and you drink the sodas, and you're just living off of caffeine and sugar, you're constantly eating all these calories that, all this raw fuel and whatever. I mean, at this point, just toxic crap that your body has to deal with and has to deal with the glucose and turn it into fat and hide it and put this toxic junk in your fat cells. But your body's still screaming. And so the same part, the same part of your mind that's wanting to breathe is wanting, to eat and get this nourishment in there. And it's like, and people say, well, you have a willpower problem. It's like, really, how long can you hold your breath? It's the same part of your brain.
I mean, you've done so many calorie deficit diets. That's discipline right there, and willpower. That's
for sure. I ate 2,000 calories a week for 17 months. The first time I lost 300 pounds, and I got skinny, but I took a picture of it and I have it around here somewhere because I was happy because I was pretty thin, and I took a picture, but like 6 days later was the closest to suicide. One of the times it was close to suicide I ever came to, because my hormones were screwed up. And I got all the way down there and realized that I got into kind of a goal weight, and it didn't cure anything. Nothing was healed. Nothing was fixed. Nothing was better, And now I'm not to my goal weight yet, but everything's better. all the depression, anxiety, all the eating disorders, all the addictive personality and nature to binge and to gamble and to have, sugar and caffeine and all this stuff. It's completely gone. Now I just wake up and I go, well, my mood's a little low. I better go eat 4 pounds of ribeye and feel awesome and just take over the day, and it's just a totally different world. It's like having a new body. It's crazy.
Yeah. Can I just emphasize one thing that Todd just really skipped over? You said, your body craves protein all the time. So there is protein in carbs, but that's why also one of the reasons why you eat a lot of carbs, because your body is craving for the protein that you're giving, but it's just not enough. So you keep on eating and eating. It's of course also like the sugar and the processed foods, that is the combination with the fats and what they do, how they make the foods, but it's basically your body is looking for protein.
Makes
And
a lot of sense.
that's why it makes you hungry as well. Yeah.
I love that. Such a good topic. Dr. Phil, did you want to chime in on this? I know you kind of came in the middle.
Oh, you're doing great. I'm as interested as the audience is listening.
Well, we were talking about I ate 4 pounds of ribeye yesterday, and it boosted my metabolism. Now I'm probably going to eat 8 pounds of ribeye today. I already did. I'm going back for round 2, and somebody very concerned. I don't think they were trolling or anything. They said at my current weight, I don't need to be eating that much ribeye, and so we were just going on kind of a history lesson of where it went. So.
Yeah, it goes against such conventional wisdom of what everyone has been taught in their science degrees, whether it's medical school or nutrition degrees or physiology or whatever. And as we unlock all this stuff and we see actual results from people, it's very intriguing. And you just have to throw tradition out the window and figure it out. But that's why you need community so bad, because if you're by yourself, it's very lonely.
For sure.
It is. Yeah.
So this would be a good time to click that SBG link in the description. Join the Cool Kids Club.
Nice
So where are you at with questions? I see lots of questions tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, man. As usual, we're behind. So, okay. Thank you for reminding us. Let's get back to questions. This is Lou Boss. Thank you so much. 7.5 months carnivore, diabetes, muscular neuropathy, migraine, headaches, gone. 6 feet, 210 pounds. Yeah. Lost 50 pounds. Weight loss stalled. And I want to lose 25 pounds more. Any ideas?
Who wants to start?
Well, let's start. Yeah, let's start with the gentleman, and then we'll go to the ladies.
All right, Phil, you're up.
Oh, well, first off, congratulations.
Yes.
I mean, this is celebration. You've reversed diabetes, neuropathy, migraines. It's a common story. And, you're 6'4" and 210 pounds. That's not a terrible misproportion of anything. I mean, and I realize you want to lose another 25 pounds, but I mean, just take a while and let your body just take a breath and recover from the fact of all the healing it's had to do. And it's not unusual to hit a plateau for a while, and it can be weeks to months after you do incredible amount of healing in your body. So don't get discouraged. This is great what you've done, and just stick with it. And why would you ever want to go back to, diabetes and migraines and muscular neuropathy? I mean, fantastic. I just want to celebrate you.
Oh,
great.
Awesome, isn't it?
That's a non-scale victory, as we call it in the gang.
For sure.
What do you call it?
Yeah, non-scale victory, NSV.
Oh, non-scale victory. Yes.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, why do you think you want to lose 25 more pounds? And I'm speaking to the choir here because I've had to completely, remove myself from any idea of what I think I'm gonna weigh. The truth of the matter is I don't know what I'm gonna weigh. But the better part is I don't care what I'm gonna weigh anymore. I don't care at all.
That's huge.
It
Because
is
that's been the thing on all your life, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, for me it was. So yeah.
Well, and once you understand, like, what am I weighing exactly? I don't even know what I'm weighing. If you feel good, if you're waking up with energy, if you're waking up and the back pain gone and your medications, you're off all your medications and things are getting better, that's all I can hope for anymore. And so I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I just know that the more that I do this, the better I feel, the heavier things I can lift, I don't get sore anymore. My recovery time's better. I sleep better. I wake up with more energy. My mind works better. And
Yeah.
I finally stopped going, oh, I got to lose, because I used to, even on Carnivore, I was sitting there always trying to find a goal to reach at the end of the month so I could keep pushing forward. And whenever that was weight, it was it was always the most frustrating part because I would stall out for 6 months or whatever. Now it's just basically competing against your results yesterday and just trying to feel as good or better every day. And I don't know. I don't know what weight means anymore. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm gonna be probably 5'10" and 250 pounds and probably be pretty lean by the time this is done at 250 pounds and 5'10" because I have a big frame from carrying around 600 plus pounds for the last 25 years,
Yeah, health gains is just much better than weight loss.
Yes, absolutely. I love it.
And
Todd, can I just feature some live? Yeah, go ahead, Adek. Go ahead.
I just want to say, if Lindsay were here, she would say, she primes if she's on a stall. She goes and does a mini prime, and then she'll see the weight start moving again. So that more actually, that's one of the tactics that you do.
Yep. So basically, what we were saying before Luba's question is eat more. Eat more to break that weight loss stall is the first thing that we would recommend for sure. Okay, I just want to feature some live stream messages because I want to show you guys some love for those who are in our live, who have joined us from the start, or who just jumped in. Welcome. And we really appreciate your support for engaging, for being in the chat box, and for the kind words. Thank you, Tina. And somebody said, let's see here, support is a must. And we love you, Todd. Yes, everybody loves Todd.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and just
Thanks,
so much love in the live chat. I love meat and I love you guys. I love meat too. Love you guys back. Yeah. Thank you. And we love the love going on in the live chat. Keep it up. We do these every single week, by the way. And I'm already seeing like regulars, people coming back, chiming in, helping out. This is the power of community. And I really appreciate that. Okay, let's keep going.
That's awesome.
Yes. Hi, welcome back, Bender. Is it possible to take too much iodine? Maybe Todd, you can speak from your own experience first.
Well, I hear people that do, and there's people that don't have the experience with iodine that I have. For me personally, I don't seem to have any issues with it, and I take a lot. I take 50 milligrams, which is 20 drops of Lugol's 5%, and it works wonders for me. And I've gotten a lot of, since I've kind of spread that message, I've gotten a lot of DMs on Instagram from people thanking me for.
What kind of improvements did you see, Todd?
Well, the first improvement was I felt like I was seeing in color again, which was the only time, like no joke. It was very strange. And the only time I've had that happen was a long time ago when I first took TRT. So it's got to have something to do with adrenal gland or hormones or something that it kicked in. Mm-hmm. But everything was just more vivid. I could see better, like immediately within a few hours. It was pretty crazy of taking the first time I took 50 milligrams. But then just energy, like my body craves it first thing in the morning. Yeah. I wake up and it's my coffee now, and I take it first thing in the morning. And it's really hard to explain. I just have a way heightened level of energy that's way more sustained. I have less lows. And it just lasts all day. And my recovery time's way better. My mind is way more awake, and things are just sharper. I feel like I can see sharper. I feel like I can hear sharper, and I feel like I can smell things and even taste things better. It's very strange.
Okay.
Wow.
But I think I was an extreme case. I think I was very, very low.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But now Phil's the opposite of me.
So. Yeah, I'm the opposite. So I have long-standing hypothyroidism, not Hashimoto, and I started taking iodine. Started very slow, worked my way up to 25 milligrams a day, and I literally had more fatigue, daytime drowsiness, felt really not as good. So I just quit taking it. So. So I think that's the difference between knowing that your body has enough and it's not adding anything versus Todd, who was like the Energizer bunny when he got it. So I think your body will tell you what you need and what you don't need. And that's the amazing thing. But technically, could you take too much iodine? Well, if you have normal kidneys, probably not. But I wouldn't push it above 50 milligrams a day. Most people, if they take 25 milligrams a day, that's going to be a pretty adequate dose for the majority of people. And you can go online and look at Lugol's iodine, and it'll tell you based on whether you got 2% drops or 5% drops, how many drops it takes to get to 25 milligrams.
Yeah, and you could also not feel any difference like I had. So I just tried it for a few weeks and no difference. So I'm not using it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one has a in here as above, so below. Brownstein recommends J. Crow's 2%, 5%, 2 ounces, 1 to 3 drops a day starting out. I hear a lot of people doing good on 8. Wow.
Yeah. Well, and Brownstein actually, so on the Lugol's 2%, that's 1 milligram per drop. So when I did 2%, I was taking 50 milligrams, 50 drops of 2%. Going to 5%, 50 milligrams is 20 drops. And maybe Phil, you can tell me why this is. Some people, so I looked up on their site, and a few people have said that too, and that's what Brownstein had said when he was in Ken Berry's group when I was in there, and I'd talked to him. However,
Brownstein says 25 to 50 milligrams a day is what most people take. Their recommendations used to be a lower amount, but he recently revised that upward.
Okay, so that's what.
So go with the target dose, and then I recommend people start very, very slow. You start out with 1 drop a day, put it in water or coffee, and then work your way up. If you have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, you need to start with even lower dose. So you put 1 drop into a bottle of maybe 4 ounces of water, and then just take a teaspoon of that water every day until you finish it. Then start with your 1 drop a day. So you really want to start with a incredibly dilute solution when you're first starting it, because some people will have a flare of their Hashimoto's and actually get worse if they start with 1 drop.
Right on. And then thanks so much. Here is a question that was built for Dr. Phil.
Oh,
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
From Charlie.
Yeah, go ahead and read it, Bella.
Great. Charlie wants to know how to deal with doctors, cardiologists, and PCPs that try to scare patients from eating meat-based diets after seeing the lipids. Yep. Great question.
Yeah. So this is an interesting topic because I've experienced myself as a retired physician having to educate my doctors, and they're tough sometimes. So for me, it's real easy to go to PubMed, which is the National Library of Medicine, and pull up articles that I give them. And I say, okay, would you read this article so we can converse as 2 professionals? But there's some practical things that you can do. And in fact, I'm going to be talking about this at Hack Your Health next year in November in Tampa, Florida. So I hope you come and join us. We'll be doing a panel on how to survive as a carnivore in a non-carnivore world. And my area of interest is how to turn your doctor from parent to partner. And the idea is, what are the ways that we do this? So we could spend all evening talking about this, but the first thing, some key words that you want to know. Doctor, help inform me so I can make an informed consent of why you think this treatment is better than doing it than not doing it. And show me the literature that backs up your decisions, and for both sides. And if you don't have coronary artery disease, and if you don't have atherosclerotic disease, and you have no history of prior heart attack or stroke, and you don't have hypertension, and your HDL cholesterol is high and your triglycerides are low, you really don't care what your total cholesterol and your LDL cholesterol is. because you're metabolically going to be healthy. And that is not a risk factor. And I did the calculations myself and did a video with Bella where I basically showed the doctor that what I did on the carnivore way of eating was I reduced a 600% increase in risk for coronary artery disease because I had metabolic syndrome. And I eliminated it 4 months with the carnivore way of eating. And my cholesterol went from 180 to 311. Freaked my cardiologist out. And I said, okay, so I've done something that has reduced my risk by 600%. And you want to prescribe this statin that has the number needed to treat would be you'd have to give this unnecessarily to 200 people to benefit one patient. And my risk of developing atherosclerotic heart disease at age 67 with this cholesterol is less than 1%. So you were not recognizing that I took something that was a magnitude of 6 times magnitude, 600% increase that was eliminated with this way of eating, and you're focused now in the 1%. And there's scripture in the Bible that says how, before you deal with the speck in your brother's eye, take the log out of your own eye.
Wow.
And it's such a appropriate thing because they don't think metabolically. They're focused on a lab test. You're focused on you and your body and your well-being. And you need to know what are the relative risk of treatment versus non-treatment, of resolving inflammatory disease versus having inflammatory disease, the cost and side effects of medications, because 40% of people that take statins develop muscle disease, inflammation of the muscle, and another 30 to 40% develop insulin resistance, which raises their risk factor by 600%. And it also causes calcium deposits in your coronary arteries. And they'll tell you that your higher your CAC score, your calcium score, the more at risk you are for a heart attack. So you get them in a discussion and you show curiosity. Well, help me understand, Dr. Bella. I just read this article that says I've reduced my risk factor by 600%. And if I take this medicine for the next 20 years, it'll have 1% benefit, but it has a risk of bringing back my metabolic syndrome or my diabetes. Tell me how that works. Would you rather me be diabetic? What's the risk factor here? And usually once they stop and think about it, and I'll share the story of my 95-year-old dad. My former partner, medical partner, is my dad's physician, and I went in to him, and from time to time I look at my dad's meds, and he was on a statin at 93, and I walked in and said, "What are you doing? You never give statins for anyone after age 80 because there's absolutely no literature that justifies that. It shouldn't be done." And he said exactly what I thought he would say. Well, you know how it is. We start these meds and we never consider stopping them. And so you got to understand the perspective of a doctor. We get busy. We're thinking of other things. And that's why I want you to think about your doctor as your partner, healthcare partner. And you have a responsibility to educate your doctor and make sure they educate you, because ultimately that's what informed consent is all about, is knowing the risks, knowing the benefits, and always judging whatever treatment you're going to do. Are the benefits greater than the risk? Okay. And I have to face this myself with health conditions that I have. And it's always a balance, and I had this conversation, risk of doing this has a 1% risk of a stroke over the next 10 years, But if I do what you're telling me to do, I have a 7% risk per year of having a stroke from the medication. So what do you think I should do? Take the 7% a year or the 1% per 10 years? Either way, the risk factor is a stroke, but which one has the most benefit? And he said, well, obviously that's what the literature is showing. So you want to do the one with the lower risk. And that's how you begin to turn your doctor. But you have to first in your heart understand that you do need doctors. You do need a partner in your healthcare, someone that can navigate this very confusing world, because you probably don't have a medical degree. You probably don't have a master's in physiology like I do, or a degree in advanced science or pharmacology, or you may not be a doctorate in pharmacy or a doctor in physical therapy, and you don't know how to navigate the healthcare world. So you have to build partners with your healthcare providers. And so the first change has to be in your own heart, and to begin to consider, I wonder if I could turn my doctor from parent to partner, and then move forward with that. And if you really want some more practical things, come to Tampa next November, and we're going to be talking about
Yes, it's linked in the description box, so you can open that up anytime for more details. You can meet Dr. Phil in person, ask him your questions, and hear him speak in person and hang out with all of us. Go ahead, Todd.
I just put it in the chat again there too. So
Yay, thank you. Very
There we
good. Okay, so Abinder has that follow-up here. 4 drops of iodine 1 time a day, or 2 drops 2 times a day.
that makes no difference.
No, you don't have to do it throughout the day.
No, you can do it once a day. It's iodine's absorbed into the body. You don't need to give it multiple doses a day. You're basically filling your tank with iodine. So you have a gas tank that's filled with iodine. And so all you're doing is trying to put it in. The iodine that's being used per day is very minuscule. It's being used in the thyroid, and it's being used throughout your bodies and your cells. And you're taking in minuscule amounts that are actually used and replacing enzymatic pathways throughout the day. So your goal is, most people tend to be deficient in iodine, and you're just trying to fill the tank ever so progressively, and it gets used, and eventually you'll get your tank filled up. So it would be like, I'm going to drive, I burn 25 miles per gallon on a tank of gas, but I have a 20-gallon tank. I don't need to fill the tank every time I drive 20 miles, just because I'm burning 20 miles per hour. The amount that you use per day is less than the amount that you're giving yourself, and your body will do fine on it. Okay.
Any thoughts, Todd?
No, I only take it in the morning, and I haven't had a worry, but I mean, I'm taking plenty. My tank is full for sure. For sure.
Nice. Okay, Victoria says, I've been carnivore for almost 5 months, but have lost weight, which I didn't really want to. I'm 5'1" and fell to 96. She already asked this, so we did cover that already. Let's keep going. Yes, she just asked it twice. No worries.
No worries.
Faith, are there any types of people that should not do carnivore? Interesting. Wow.
Vegans.
No, they should
hopefully these vegans are willing to open up their minds and eat some meat, because I used to be a vegan and I stopped because of the health issues. So I guess when they start having health issues serious enough, they will have to stop.
Yeah, if people thrive on their own diet, why should they consider carnivore right now?
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Th-
So
that's the
the question would be, would there be any metabolic inborn errors of metabolism
Medical issue
that a child may have, that you don't metabolize something? But to not be able to get protein and fat, you're not going to live very long. So I can't think of anybody.
Extinctionists.
Yeah, I just can't think of any condition where you don't need protein and fat, because these are essentials to proper nutrition. There is no essential carbohydrates. There are essential proteins, there are essential fats, but there are no essential carbohydrates. So, so even people with inborn errors in metabolism, if they're going to live, we've got to figure out how to get essential fats and protein into their body, or they will not live. They won't survive. So perhaps a person who's had their gut removed and are living on intravenous, it would be hard to be a carnivore, because they're going to give you most of your calories in the form of 50% glucose, which is, but you have no gut. You don't have any mechanism to absorb. I mean, they do give lipids and they do give proteins, amino acids in those, what's called hyperalimentation, but that's the only contraindication I could think of, is someone who's lost their whole gut due to Crohn's disease or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Can you think of any, Todd? Anybody you would not recommend carnivore to?
No, well, enemies. That's about it.
Todd.
You don't have enemies, Todd.
I said vegan, so I'm just as guilty as
Oh
Todd.
no.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
We love our reformed vegans.
For sure.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. What, Adek?
I just want to say they actually have some similarities, right? Their mindset, I want to be healthy.
Oh,
For sure.
absolutely.
Going to the extreme,
Absolutely.
as they going to say about us. Yeah.
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods,
avoid chemicals, pesticides. No, vegans have a lot of great things. It's just that they don't eat nutritionally appropriate food.
They forgot about that side.
They do have good intentions. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. They
And
got
they're
dedication.
And because of it, they're a little
And they
hangry.
love animals too. So
I missed that. What'd you say, Todd?
I said, and because of it, they're a little hangry. They're a little bit aggressive.
right.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah, I was for sure. Let's keep going. This is from Mrs. Hooligan. Advice on becoming a carnivore coach. Well,
do it.
Adek, how did you become a carnivore coach?
I joined the gang, and then Bella noticed me, and she made me a moderator, and that's how it started. And I wouldn't have been able to be a coach if I was a carnivore, because I was so shy. I was very timid. I had even social phobia and agoraphobia, and I would not have imagined me become a coach if I wasn't this person because of carnivore. Yeah.
I love watching the coaches at work, because the bigger the gain, the journey that the person's gone through, the better they are at coaches, because of the empathy that you have for everyone. And it's just so great. It was like Chad talking when I was first signed on. Chad was telling Todd, who's better to get advice on losing weight, or someone that's lost over 200 pounds. I mean, it's kind of incredible. And the first thing you do is you commit to it, you have success, and then you just learn how to listen to people and love people where they're at, because it's patience is the number one thing you got to have as a coach.
Yes.
Share your story, and your experience.
Yeah. So Adek joined the Steak and Butter Gang, I think, month 1 of me starting and creating it. She was like one of the first members of the Steak and Butter Gang. And I just noticed her because she would be active, and you could see like a little green dot next to your account in there. She would be active anytime I went into the community. Always she was active. And not only was she active, she was actively helping, commenting, chatting, answering questions, supporting. And it was amazing just seeing her be so knowledgeable, because everything that she was saying, I was like, wow, I'm learning just reading her messages in here. And so what Adek did is like the actual details of becoming a coach at that time, Dr. Sean Baker had his MeterX coaching certification program. And so a lot of the coaches on the team would go get that done, get that cert from Dr. Baker's program, and then join the team. So that's how a lot of the SBG team became coaches. But I don't know what people are doing these days. I'm actually not sure. Yeah, to become
I
a coach.
did say I learned so much more in the community and with you guys and the moderators and the team and our coaches than I did while I was trying to get the certificate. Just to
Oh,
say.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it's
learned
just
so
like
much more here.
a gesture. you know?
Yes.
Cool. Let's keep going. Hi, Keith. How much exercise is helpful for weight loss? I work out 5 days a week. I'm getting stronger, but I'm not losing weight. Yeah, similar question to some things that we were talking about. How much exercise is helpful, though? I personally feel like weight loss happens in the kitchen. Like, I
Yes.
would not want to solely or prioritize exercise as the catalyst for weight loss. First, figure out what you're eating, see how you're eating, and then the exercise can kind of be an accessory, and then go from there. Those are my thoughts.
And also it depends on which exercise you're talking about, because if it's, weights or cardio or, soccer, I'm just saying anything, because you will, the scale may not move if you're really gaining, in the gym, because of the muscle mass that you're gaining. And you have to look at the, inches, I guess, how you say, is that how you say it?
Yeah. Inches.
Yeah. So, but rest days are very important as well. So don't, you do a 5 days a week and only 2 days of rest. Rest days is when your body's recovering from the workout you did the day before. And that's just as important as a day of workout.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I think it's just, nourishment, consistency, and patience is the real key to losing weight, as near as I can tell, because it's like I can't put, the only time that I consistently could make myself lose weight is if I was starving to death for a long period of time. Like when I underate, I was eating 2,000 calories a week for 17 months. Yeah, I could make myself lose weight all the time, but it wasn't good weight. It was the weight that I would have liked to have held on to as well. I was getting weaker and sicker. But when you're doing it right and you're having composition changes and your body's healing, it loses weight kind of when it wants to. It's really kind of strange. But I mean, if you just stay consistent and you don't stress over it and you get good sleep and you just keep going and feeling good, I just know that the better I sleep, the longer I stay carnivore and the stronger I get, all of a sudden I'll wake up and in a month's period, for whatever reason, my body will be like, hey, we're going to lose 40 pounds this month. And it'll just come off. It's crazy. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, but it does. It works just like that. And then it'll go, hey, for the next 6 months, we're probably going to gain 20 pounds, but you're going to lose another shirt size, but you're going to feel great. And we're going to put some muscle on.
He's getting stronger, he's saying. So, there is muscle mass gain there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very strange. We're so just like, it's almost like we have that, what do you call that? Like battered wife syndrome or whatever.
Is that sabotage, you mean?
Well, no, there's like, what's that, that syndrome or whatever, where to believe that weight means something. We just want to see the number.
Yes.
That was one thing that I got in trouble about, and I'll try to clean it up. But that was one of the reasons why I got banned, was because I was listening to a guy that said with the HP whatever, I'm not going to say the names of them, shots that everybody's taken, that normally, even if you're on a super restrictive diet, you'll lose about 1/3 lean body mass to 2/3 fat. But with the LP whatevers, that their new study that came out shows that you're losing 2/3 lean body mass and 1/3 fat. So these people are actually becoming a higher lean body mass to fat, like BMI ratio. They're actually gaining percentage of body fat to lean body mass ratio even as they're losing. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, is that the weight we want to lose? I don't know. Have you heard that, Phil?
Yeah, I've heard that too, but we're not gonna go there tonight.
Right.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Okay,
Don't
just
forget,
remember
Todd, this is also broadcasting to other people's channels, not just
I
yours.
know. That's why I didn't name a single name.
You really
of-
want to say it, don't you? I was like, no, it's always on the tip of your tongue.
Look,
just
look
keep-
how conservative I've been tonight.
Just call it galloping leprechauns.
There we go. I like it. Galloping
Yeah.
Leprechauns 1.
But again, to speak, real talk, raw talk, whatever you want to call it, Todd is the best at that. Rumble, linked down below in the description box. Yeah.
Please come over and then we'll call all the nonsense out over there.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Great. Hi, Anna. My son is 3 weeks carnivore, diabetic. A1C is still 10. He is 0 carb. He's a truck driver. Not eating much fat. Any ideas? His doctor is not supportive.
More fat.
Even more fat. Yeah. Well, maybe she's
Yeah.
asking, like, what are some ideas to help him eat more fat as a trucker?
Okay. All right. Of course. Okay.
That might be harder.
Well,
Yeah, you
well,
butter, Bella. Lots of butter.
I'm always hesitant to say that because most people these days, they watch me eat butter and they want to gag. They just watch me eat it and they want to gag.
I've been. Oh, go ahead, Phil.
No, I was just going to say I ate several tablespoons of butter today, Bella. So
Oh yeah.
I honor your example because I got some hamburger from Costco and made up like 30 burgers,
Yum.
and they just didn't have enough fat in them. So I'm sitting there chomping on. I cut my butter into pats and just put them on my tongue and let it melt on my tongue, and it's just so good.
So
I'll
good.
walk around the house with butter melting on my tongue, and it's like having a mouthful of chocolate. I mean,
I know.
it's incredible. It's
Good
such a great
good.
sensation to have melting cold butter on your tongue.
Oh,
So
it's the best.
Yeah. Usually truck drivers have their like a fridge or in their.
they do. They
Yeah.
do.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's a fridge in the truck, then some easy ways to get in the fats, boiled eggs. Boiled eggs are pretty high in
eggs,
fat. And if he eats multiple eggs per day, that could keep the fats up. Fatty meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would really avoid a lot of the carnivore snack type of stuff. If you're going to be on the road, you really need to eat a meal.
Yeah.
And so you make up ribeyes and slice them and put them in bags and put them in the refrigerator.
There's
And
thermos cans.
I mean, the other thing I've learned from Bella is eating hamburgers cold.
Yes.
And I love them cold. I love them cold.
So good.
And then that butter on top, like a frosting.
Oh yeah. Well, I do a butter chaser. So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I
good.
don't because I don't heat it up. So
No.
I just do a butter chaser. And there's nothing better than a cold hamburger, but I like ribeye and I slice it, cook it, slice it up, put it in bags, and then take that on planes. If you ever see me on a plane, you'll probably see me eating strips of ribeye cold that I'm traveling with.
So
That's
good.
awesome.
So
Yeah, I started taking suet and I'll take a brisket and I cut the brisket down and you put it in the fridge, you get it chilled, or the freezer, you get it chilled pretty good. You cut it into cubes. And then I do the same thing with the suet, and then I put it through a grinder and I make my own ground beef out of brisket and suet. And so I've been doing that and it's been working good. And then if I'm having a heart, like if I'm starting to get a little bit of meat aversion or something, then I add bacon and I'll do 1/3 bacon to the ground beef. And so it's bacon beef. But what I like about it is I smoke those burgers and I catch the fat. And then when I put them in the fridge to chill, I put the fat back over top of them, the suet, and it has like a cold frosting of fat.
I know, that's really cool.
Yeah, they are super tasty.
Yeah, and I wanted to add for this person, for her son, you got to get more fat in, and you've got to get that hemoglobin A1C down. And when you drop
Yeah.
that hemoglobin A1C down to 8 and then down to 6, your doctor's going to catch on. His doctor is going to say, wow, that's really amazing, because 10 is a really high hemoglobin A1C, and you need to get that down. But if he's not eating enough fat, that protein that he's consuming is just going to turn through gluconeogenesis to sugar. So he's not really, even though he's not consuming carbs, he's got the carb equivalent by being on low-fat carnivore. So not a good idea when you're insulin resistant, because you're just going to turn it into blood sugar. That blood sugar is going to cause more insulin to come out, and that insulin is going to store it as more fat. So you're not going to make progress doing that.
For sure. And that was another thing. You can take that ground beef mixture and turn it into like taco meat, just grind it up, but then I like to layer it in like a cake pan and then let it cool with all the fat in there, and then it makes like those pemmican bars. So like 1 inch square pemmican bars.
Nice. Ooh, that's
Those are
very
good too.
Yeah.
great tips. Yeah, all great tips. Yeah. Okay, this is Roz, and before I read Roz's question, just a question for everyone in the live: who here actually enjoys eating butter straight up? So not butter in a recipe or butter on a cooked steak, just butter straight out of the stick. Who here actually enjoys eating that? I'd love to know. Commenting. Roz says, I am off my blood pressure meds since going carnivore. Yay, congrats. At 64, and I'm 16 pounds down. Congrats. 3 years ago, I had stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. Wow. And I am now cancer-free. Congratulations. Wow. No carbs, no dairy. Yes, I eat eggs and no sugar. So what's the question? Wow, you're thriving.
Oh, it's a cute, cute.
This is a celebration.
Yes.
Celebration. Amazing.
That is amazing.
That's a great testimony.
Yes, it is.
Thank you
Love
so
it,
much.
Ron. Keep on going.
Thanks so much for sharing. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Hi. Okay. Going carnivore strong for 3 months. I had blood work. My high total cholesterol is 350. Triglycerides are normal, and my LDL is high as well. Is this normal? Yes, it is normal. And Dr. Phil will explain.
Well, first off, you have to know a little bit more. I'd like to know what your HDL is, and is it above 50, Dickie? And do you have any existing cardiac disease? So it's a little different answer if you've had coronary artery disease, blocked arteries, you've had a heart attack, you've had a stroke. But for most people, this is a fairly normal response when you're eating a high-fat diet. Your body is fat adapted. You are transporting a lot of ketone bodies through your blood. The LDL, big, fluffy, safe LDL particles expand to do transport to the cells. It's a very healthy process. And the way you address this is by asking your doctor to measure your LDL particles. It's called different things at different clinics, but tell them you'd like to, hey doc, I'd really like to know the distribution of my LDL particle size. And if you have a lot of the small, dense LDL, that might increase your risk of coronary artery disease. But if you have mostly the high, big, fluffy LDL, that is nothing more than fat transport, and that's a total normal process. But you got to look at your other risk factors. We had a person in the gang who had a ischemic cardiomyopathy, which means they have congestive heart failure due to multiple heart attacks. And in those patients, lipids have actually shown, the statins actually been shown to reduce the risk of sudden death and to rebuild the heart muscle irrespective of the cholesterol level. So that's a case, a specific patient type that we use statins, not because of any effect on their cholesterol, but on the effect on rebuilding the heart muscle itself. So you've got to discuss risk factors with your doctor, but the next step to do is know what your HDL is. If it's above 50, then ask for a fractionated LDL particle size and go from there.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Dr. Phil. All right, this is Wendy. Her question is, can you address gallstones being on carnivore almost 8 months in and past a gallstone last month? An ultrasound showed several more in my gallbladder. I do have a history of stones.
Yeah. You want me to take this one?
Yes, please.
Okay. So first off, why do we get gallstones? We get gallstones through a process of we get a sluggish gallbladder and we get inflammation in the gallbladder. So why do we get a sluggish gallbladder? Because we eat low-fat diets, because the doctors tell us to. And over the years, our gallbladder, which is an organ designed as a reservoir of bile, which is produced by our liver, it's supposed to contract every time we eat a nice fatty meal, empties completely, and then as we make more bile in the liver, we accumulate more for the next meal. And what bile does is it emulsifies fat, which means breaks it into particles so that we can metabolize and digest it more easier and get all that nutrition from it. So it's a very normal process. But as the gallbladder gets sluggish because we're not eating enough fat in the diet, we get a process where we start to get precipitation of the minerals in our bile, and that creates sludge. And it's literally like thick stuff in your gallbladder instead of nice, clear liquid. And bile, most people don't know, is actually yellow. It's golden yellow. But once it hits your stomach acid, it turns green. So if you've ever vomited bile, it's going to be green. But when we look at bile in your gallbladder, it's actually a golden yellow. And it's very liquid. You can almost see through it. It's kind of like amber, if you remember from Jurassic Park. You could see through it. But it's a liquid, and it's really fascinating. So as you go carnivore, you're starting to reduce the inflammation, and you're training your gallbladder to actually start functioning again. And it pumps out the bile every time you eat, because when fat hits your stomach, you have a hormone that's called cholecystokinin, which gets released by the receptors in the stomach and the duodenum, and the gallbladder contracts, mixes the bile with that dissolving bolus of food and helps us to digest. And the more you eat fatty meals, the more that action's going. And it's not uncommon that people have a lot of sludge and a lot of gallstones in their bladder pre-existing carnivore, and as they're eating carnivore, those stones and sludge start to go away, but they don't disappear overnight. They start to shrink, and some of those stones get passed through the common bile duct. Some just dissolve, and you never know you have them. But some people can pass a gallstone just like you can pass a kidney stone. Only a gallstone passing is usually not as painful as a kidney stone. Sometimes it causes temporary jaundice, and sometimes they have to remove them physically. But in most cases, if you have gallstones they're going to dissolve over time, and your gallbladder is going to heal. Now, does that mean everybody will have 100% resolution of their stones? No, not at all. Some people have giant stones. I've seen stones as big as a baby's fist. Those would probably take the rest of your life to dissolve, but they took years to form in the first place. But those are not the kind that normally get passed because they're too big to get passed. So they tend to go through a crystallization process and become more fixed so that they're less of a problem over time, the bigger stones. So that's the physiology behind gallstones, and just keep doing the carnivore way of eating. And at some point, you don't need to follow it if you're asymptomatic. And if you have a real severe gallbladder attack, sometimes you get an infection and have to have the gallbladder removed. But That's pretty rare for carnivores because most just get better over time. But
Great.
remember, the gallstones are there from years of eating low-fat diets.
Thank you for explaining, Dr. Phil.
Oops, I think we clicked on it at the same
Sorry
time.
about that. Also, Todd, Adek, do you guys need to take a break, bathroom,
I'm good.
eat? All good? Dr. Phil, all good? Wow, it's pretty
I'm
late
good.
over there. Awesome. Awesome.
We're really
Faith.
late.
Yeah, it's pretty late. Yeah. So Faith says, if you have a history of kidney stones and infections, can a carnivore diet cause further issues? And Dr. Phil, if you can take that.
Yeah, well, it's really the same process as the gallstones, except it's not a fat related process. It has to do with the fact that the kidney stones, which could be calcium oxalate stones, are the most common ones. And I would say if you have no normal kidney stones and you have known oxalate stones, you might want to consider adding an antioxalate inhibitor when you're eating. So we do that with lemon juice or black pepper to present you to not precipitate too much oxalate from your body too rapidly. So it kind of slows the process, because most people that have stones have gotten it from high oxalate vegetables like spinach and kale and things like that. So if anything, carnivore tends to heal kidneys and tends to prevent or dissolve stones over time. But there again, I've seen stones that have literally filled the whole kidney, and those are really refractory and sometimes have to be removed. But kidney stones are not a reason not to do carnivore, and preventing kidney stones is a great reason to be a carnivore.
Great. This is from Jay. What is the reason behind nightly leg muscle cramps when on a low carb animal based way of eating? I've had frequent leg cramps at night since the change in my diet, only a handful of times pre ketovore. Nightly leg cramps. I never had nightly leg cramps. So I actually started off carnivore with no salt, no electrolytes. So I wonder if that supported it. But I also hear so much in the community that salt and the electrolytes are what prevent or fix the leg cramps. So I absolutely hear that part as well. Todd, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I had a bunch of leg cramps pretty chronically. I did the electrolytes. I felt like they helped at first, and then and I was salting the heck out of my food trying to fix them. And then I think ultimately what happened is that caused me to drink too much water. And I think over salting my food and keep drinking the electrolytes. I started drinking a lot of water, like a bunch, like 2 gallons, 2.5 gallons a day. And ultimately that caused worse leg cramps because I think I was peeing out all my electrolytes. And the only thing that really cured it was actually, and I didn't do this to get rid of the cramps. My body just naturally, there's a beautiful thing about healing your body and your hormones is it tells you what to do. And I lost taste for salt. So I stopped eating salt.
Yeah.
And I started dry fasting. I became more fat adapt when I started dry fasting, which gives you more access to metabolic fluid. And lo and behold, my cramps went away when that happened. So for me, I don't take electrolytes. I don't salt my food anymore, and I don't have cramps anymore. So,
and you drink less too, Todd?
Oh yeah, like now I drink somewhere between 50 and 75 ounces of fluid a day, rather than 300 ounces of fluid a day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Very eye-opening. How about you, Adek? Did you ever get cramps?
I did, but yeah, I did try the salt and the electrolytes. And like I said, I think I told last week, the mouth taping was actually what really helped me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mouth
So
right.
That was kind of weird. Yeah, I think I heard it from Kelly Hogan. She had that too.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, yeah.
Wonder how in the heck would that, I mean, I believe it, but I mean, why does that make a difference?
Well, what was it again, Dr. Phil? When it does the kind of nitric oxide goes through your body better, or because you're breathing through your nose. Yeah. So
I am not the expert on this one. I struggle with leg cramps. I get them. I take extra electrolytes. They go away. Then I start getting them again, and I stop the electrolytes, and they go away. And the mouth taping, I'm not really up on it. So this is an area that's beyond me. So
Right.
I'll admit when I don't know something.
No problem. Yeah, but Todd, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know what exactly happened or why they went away. That is the process it did. But I can tell you this, when I was going through it, the most pro tip on the planet for dealing with leg cramps while you're going through it, it's definitely a shake plate. That little sucker saved my life on the leg cramps. Yeah. Because if you have a shake plate and you get them in those spots, like I used to get them on the front side of my ankle and like calf, I don't know, whatever side of the leg, front side of the leg above the ankle on the side. And man, I could not figure out which way to put my foot to stop that from happening. And there was no way to stretch it out. And the more that I would try, I would actually cause myself to have a second cramp in my calf or something by trying to get my feet at an angle to relieve this thing. And just out of desperation, one night I got on my shake plate, and that thing is a lifesaver. If you're having cramps and it hits you in the night, and they're the ones that just latch on and you're trying to walk it off and you're like, for 20, 30 minutes at a time, the shake plate, that will get rid of those cramps and shake it out in like 2.5 minutes at tops. It's incredible. It is the best way to get rid of leg cramps I've ever found, for sure.
Magic Moon says shake plate. What's that?
Well, it's a big machine. Let me see if I have a picture of it. It's a big machine. Life Pro makes them that you can stand on. It vibrates. It's a vibration plate. And the one that I have will do like oscillation vibrate. So it goes up and down, side to side at, I think, diagonals, and also does this weird little oscillation thing. But it's built to shake up your, I guess, you get blood flow, shake up your lymphatic system, just get things moving. But it also shakes up the muscles. Now, I think a lot of people use it for fluid and lymphatic issues, but I've been watching in the gym, they're getting way more popular for weightlifters and stuff.
I see them in the gym, in every gym I've been to, and I tried it myself.
What'd you think of it?
Okay, I literally thought my brain was jiggling all over my head. I was like, what is this? And it was the lowest setting. I tried one number higher, and I was like, this is too much. This is so strong.
Did you have your knees locked?
I think I had it relaxed. Typically, I like to just like do it for relaxation. I do like it. It's just very intense upon your first time.
It helps if you have your knees bent a little bit, is what I'm saying. If you have your knees locked straight up and down,
you won't feel the brain thing.
Yeah, you'll get it in the place of your neck. But if you bend your knees a little bit, and just a slight bend, then your knees are kind of a little bit of a shock absorber, and it doesn't rattle your brainstem. But when you do it, I've been watching the weightlifters, and they go in there to warm up because it creates blood flow and oxygenates their tissue better. But then what's cool is they go lift hard. They go do it again to get rid of the lactic acid because it moves so you don't go home sore. It's crazy. They're super handy.
Yep. Okay. It's very effective, very loved by weightlifters for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Super cool. I just wanted to reply to this Kathy. So sweet. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. She says, "Oh, Bella, you're so radiant married. I love being married. It's so cool." I don't know. It just feels different. I feel grown up, and I feel just overall very happy, that I get to have the stability with the love of my life. And yeah, thank you so much. Just wanted to feature this very sweet message. Yeah. Love you too. Love you too, Kathy.
So 10 out of 10 recommend, huh?
With the right person, yes. That's
a good one.
Make sure it's the right person, though. Yeah. Question for everyone in this live, actually, since we're on the topic of being married. Are you married? Yes or no?
To a carnivore.
Well, then we're not going to get a lot of yeses.
Yeah.
No way.
Are you married in general? And I'm just super curious, as like a newly married woman, when you got married, or like before getting married and then after getting married, did life feel different for you? Would just love to read all of your experiences on that.
Cool.
Perfect.
Any questions?
There we go.
Yes. We still have a lot. We could
Okay.
practically go until midnight. So we will have to wrap up. I want to say maybe 20 more minutes because I'm hungry, guys. I'm hungry. Okay.
Yeah, another
Charles.
3 pounds of ribeye, right?
Oh yes. I cannot
It is
wait.
morning here.
Oh, what time is it?
Is it 4:15?
Oh, wow.
Oh
4:19.
Gosh, Adek, I
4:15
don't
in the
Having
morning.
too much fun. So no worries.
Wow.
I love you. Charles says, I'm mostly carnivore and dirty keto. Is resistant starch a real thing, and will it help digestion? I've never heard of that. What is this? Resistant starch?
Is that when they put coconut oil in cooked rice? And like plantains? Isn't that what resistant starch is? Just if anyone knows what I'm talking about. Let's see.
What I was thinking was, I have no idea. What I was thinking was, is I watched those channels on YouTube that are like the continuous glucose guys that show, like, so they'll take rice and they'll cook rice and they'll eat it hot, and then they'll take their blood sugar glucose reading and it'll be whatever, it gets a baseline, but then they take that same rice and they put it in the refrigerator and eat it a day later, and it has a way less blood sugar spike. And so they say that there's certain ways to make starches and prepare starches to make them more insulin, or to make them more resistant to
lower the GI index.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work, you guys.
So my question for this, so I Googled it real quick, and it looks like starch that's resistant to breakdown into the core sugars, which starch is nothing more than a chain of glucose molecules or whatever sugar the starch is made of. And the question is, why take any starch? Because it's got resistant, just means it's resistant to your body cleaving it back into sugars, but it's still basically a complex carbohydrate. So it always gets me when I see all these supplements and things that make all these promises that people want, and they take them to try to counteract, the bad eating habits. And why not just eat the right foods?
Yeah.
So
it's not going to help with digestion, don't you think, Dr. Phil? Because that's he's
I mean, it's undigestible,
right?
Some substance that you're taking in, and I could go on forever about, the science community calls us primates, but primates like gorillas have the ability to break down cellulose. They're able to ferment in their gut. We don't ferment in our gut. So the fact that you're doing a resistant starch, to me, means it's almost like a cellulose, which is a non-digestible carbohydrate in humans. And why would you want to do that if you're low carb? What's the benefit? And I really quick went on the internet and looked up all the claims, and it's like, but that's nonsense. It's just like nonsense when people take. This has always been a bugaboo for me for the last 40 years of my career, that I see something that, like a health food supplement that says DNA ACE. This is the enzyme in your body that breaks down abnormal DNA so it won't turn into mutant DNA. Okay. Oh boy, I got to have that, right? Well, the problem is it's a protein. And if all enzymes are basically proteins, and if you digest a protein, your body's going to make it into amino acids. So buying a supplement so that you have an expensive source of amino acids, which are not going to work as an enzyme in your body because the stomach is perfectly designed to break down those proteins. And it's not like that enzyme's ever going to be used by your body. It's just going to be broken into the constituent amino acids and repackaged into your liver to something else. It's not going to, and next time it won't be DNA ACE, it'll be something else. The only DNA ACE that works in your brain to kill kill mutations is the DNA ACE that your healthy body makes. And I just don't get it. So, and I know there's a lot of functional medicine people out there and things that, do all this stuff, but you can't ignore human physiology. You eat a protein, it's going to break down into amino acids. You eat a starch, even if it's resistant, it's going to break down to glucose eventually. And that's going to stimulate your insulin, and that's defeating your whole purpose. So I can't see why that would be a good strategy.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Phil. Thank you guys for chiming in on this. Before I get to Regina, I just wanted to feature some of these answers to the married life question. Let's just take a break and have some fun. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for the congratulations, guys. Okay. So Bree says, I was just married to the love of my life. I think it's so cool too. We are now carnivores because of you. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Wow.
That's so exciting, Bree. Congratulations to you too. Wife and hubby both are carnivore. That's literally the dream goal right there. Congrats. Single and looking, troopers single and looking. The carnivore community is so vibrant. We're all so sociable and outgoing and also genuine people. I really feel like there must have been by now people who found each other and started dating and got married, right? Do we know of any
Florida?
Florida? What do you mean?
No, hacking your health to meet.
Oh, that's another way is in-person events. Yes.
It's called hack your health, not hook up.
I know. Sorry.
Hack your health.
Oh man.
Oh my god. Adek is single, guys. By the way, she is single. So, Todd, are you single?
Yes, I am. I'm working on it though.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So, and Dr. Phil, you're married.
Married for 42 and almost 43 years. So,
so you're still working out the kinks in that thing, huh?
yeah, still married to my first wife. Love of my life. Yes, love of my life.
Marriage, been there, done that.
Again. I love the might again because I'm not getting married again. Sorry.
Adek, you were married before.
Yes,
that's right. I don't know why I keep forgetting. Okay.
That's all right.
Yeah. Yes, married for 23 years to my best friend. Congratulations, Terry. That's so wonderful. Married for 36 years. Wow, that's awesome. Happy 37th anniversary. Oh, my food addiction. 14 years. Third time. It's a charm. Good. Yes. Third time is the charm. Yay. What's this? I just tell my wife, thanks for the time, Warden. What is this?
Oh, boy.
Love the sense of humor there.
Oh, yes. Felt good being married, having everyone witness our commitment to each other. Yeah. It feels different for me personally with Max. Now that we're married, everything's official. And, my father and mother-in-law know about it. It just feels more real to me, the relationship. Maybe this is just more old school thinking, but I do value getting married. Wow. Escaped my 24-year marriage in December 21. He was a functioning alcoholic with narc tendencies. Carnivore gave me the mental strength to leave.
Amazing. Good for you.
Gosh. So happy for you. I hope you're safe. Married. Oh, hi, Stevie. Stevie's here. Love you, Stevie.
Cool.
Married for 20 years. We've been together for 30. I was really lucky to find my guy. That's the dream.
Amazing.
That's so awesome. So awesome. Thanks, guys, for sharing. I just wanted to
he's lucky
feature
too.
your messages. And he's what? Carnivore?
Lucky.
Oh, he's lucky. Yes, he is lucky. Yes. Hopefully he's carnivore too. Okay, let's go back to questions now. Hi, Regina. Carnivore strong for 3 months. Received my blood work results today. My total cholesterol is 250. Triglycerides are 52, HDL 91, LDL 145. Are there others experiencing the same results? Absolutely. I did. Yeah. That's normal.
Those are really great numbers, and I talked
Those
about
are.
this earlier. So for sure.
Yeah. So watch the playback for that, but that's a fantastic panel
Yeah.
that you just got. Yeah. Down 300 pounds, real carnivore, in 3 years. Wow. Congratulations. A1C is 7.15 to 4.7. Vitamin D is super low. Any ideas without the synthetic supplements? Oh, so
Yeah, your tank is really low right now, 4.7, and I was down to 6, and it takes forever to build that back up when you're that low. Single digit vitamin D is a very serious deficit, and it could take you a long time to build that up. And so I would recommend you take D3 and probably 125 milligrams or 5,000 international units, depending on where you're at. Take that every day, and you're probably going to take a year to get that filled up. And then in the meantime, just get your body used to getting a little more sunshine in your day. But you are at serious risk of a lot of complications when you have a vitamin D. It's essential for your body function. When it's that low, you just need to really get it built up.
Did he say that he was in the single digits? I don't think he did.
I was looking at the A1C. Yeah.
So we're, that's great. But
super low is usually
okay.
single digit.
Yeah,
so I'm sorry, I did misinterpret that. 4.7 is actually a super low hemoglobin A1C, but it takes forever to build up these really low vitamin Ds. And I'm still taking vitamin D supplements myself, and my plan is on my 2nd anniversary of carnivore, I'm going to get another blood level and then start weaning off the vitamin D.
Okay.
And take probably 6 months to do it. But
oh, wow. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Very curious to see your results when you take your test again. So cool. Let's keep going. Gail, I'm about 2 months carnivore. I can't tolerate eating fat on meat. I do okay with bacon or hamburger, but cannot make myself eat the steak fat. Can I use butter to make up for the fat? I love butter. Oh, yes, from me. That's a definite yes from me. Of course you can do that. How about you, Todd?
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Phil.
I'm just saying, if you've not tried fat trimmings in the air fryer, oh my goodness, you'll feel like you died and went to heaven.
Yeah.
So just a thought, if you haven't done that.
I actually would eat a meal just for the beef fat trimmings. I mean, I'll have the protein, but that would encourage me to eat, because I couldn't eat in the beginning. But beef fat trimmings made me like, well, that's the only thing I really would like to eat, and that's how I, was able to eat more.
Yeah, and I mean, 2 months in, I didn't care for fat that much when I was first doing it. It was something I had to choke down. I could mostly get it in form of bacon, but your taste changed so much. Now I crave fat, and I love all forms of it, especially like Phil said, in the air fryer. That's why I love getting the rib roast at Costco. I forget what they call them, but they're just the vacuum sealed ones that are uncut. They have so much. Yeah, they have so much more fat on them. So when you cut those up and you put them in the air fryer, I mean, it's like awesome on top of awesome, because you have it's like having the fatty air fried strips like Phil's talking about. Plus you get an awesome ribeye. So it's just really easy to get the fat in, but.
Yeah, someone said even pork belly in the chat as well. That's so good.
Oh, yeah, I make an awesome pork belly.
I know, that looks so good, yours.
Yeah. Well, I actually hear this a lot. So 6 years of being in this meat eating community, it's quite a difficult part for a lot of people who aren't used to eating fatty meat to stomach that soggy cooked fat. Like something about when you take a piece of raw fat, like that ribeye cat, and then you cook it, and it becomes like this ooey gooey, like almost soggy piece of fatness. It gives people nausea and just this wave of wanting to gag a little bit. So I get it. It could be a texture issue as well. You need to get that fat so crispy though. That's when it starts tasting good. If it's like halfway there and it's just soggy, it tastes really bad. You know what I mean? Like that does not taste
especially in the beginning. Yeah.
I love I have one of those Ninja air fryer grill combos, and I love that thing because I do a double preheat on that thing, and then it'll get the fat so crispy in the same amount of time.
You do it. I even preheat my air fryer. I will not cook a single steak without preheating the air fryer for like 5 to 6 minutes, because that's how I get that really juicy inside in my steak.
Yeah.
Basically blue rare, but at the same time, I get the crispiest crust.
Fatty, yep.
Oof, so good that way.
And especially like right now, my ribeyes unwrapped in the fridge, the whole roast, and it's drying out in the fridge, so you got to let it air dry, and then you get the craziest, crispiest skin.
Oh, really?
It's the crispiness that makes that fat very palatable. So maybe that's what he's missing. And I think, and Dr. Chafee, he likes to dry brine. Is that what he does in his fridge?
Dry brine. Yeah, dry brine.
Dry brine.
That's what I do.
Very cool. So that's another hack, is you dry your meat by setting it on a rack in your fridge for like a week or something. I don't know how long he does it. How long do you do it, Dr. Phil?
So I'll buy like a package of 5 really thick cut ribeyes, like the 2-inch ones. And I put them on a rack, and I actually salt them. I know you and Chafee don't salt your meat, but dry brining indicates salt. So
exactly. That's why I didn't say brine.
Yeah.
I said air dry because I don't salt them anymore, so it's not really a brine.
Yeah. So for you, it would be air drying, but I'll put a pack in, and the first ones will be 24 hours, but it may be 5 days old by the time I get to the last steak, because I'm eating other stuff along the way.
Nice.
But
isn't that funny too? Sorry, I was just saying, isn't that funny too, how you can go 25 days and eat the steak, and before carnivore, everybody's like, wait, that meat's 5 days old, aren't you going to throw it away?
Yeah, really.
I know.
Like it's the opposite. It tastes even better.
Yeah.
I think it's better.
Yeah.
And it's crispier the longer it dry brines, because it doesn't have the moisture in it.
Oh, that reminds me, Gail, another tip is when you take out the steak from the packaging, maybe it's that vacuum seal plastic, make sure you dry that steak. Don't just throw it on your grill wet and soppy.
Oh, nobody wants a steamed steak. Steamed steak is an absolute carnivore crime.
Please don't do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the right thing is you want that Maillard reaction on the outside of your steak. You don't want to stew your meat.
Oh.
If you cook meat in liquid, you're stewing it. And steaks aren't meant to be stewed. They're meant to be grilled
100%.
or seared.
Yeah, when you leave it all wet and sloppy and it comes out gray and it looks like dead tissue. That is
it looks like roadkill.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then going back to bone marrow, I mean, that's my best. If you just smear it on that steak, it's so good.
Really?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Ooh, I watched them do pork belly and goose on open fire. It was amazing and crispy. Oh, on open fire is the dream. Fire it up. Burn it.
Duck.
So good. Thank you, Nav. Wow, Nav really loves asking questions. Thank you.
Good.
How do I make my steaks tender? Okay. I dry brine and some come out tough and some tender. I don't get what makes the difference.
Man, cuts of beef are so hit or miss. Like, it really is crazy. You can get I get a little bit irritated sometimes because I'll get, I go buy the prime rib briskets that are, like 18 pounds usually on average. and I buy them by the case, so I'll get 5 of them at a time. And sometimes even the prime ones, I'll get 2 of them that are just tough as heck, and it makes me mad. But I've just kind of learned to lean into it, and I definitely learned how to cut it and to make them still more enjoyable. But you're just gonna have that sometimes. Like that is something for sure. I'm just saying, I don't know what all you're doing to the steaks or what grade they are, but you might not be doing anything wrong. Sometimes it's just a cut of steak. It's kind of a, I mean, it's a living animal. It's not, or it was a living animal. It's not like it's not factory produced. It's not all going to be the same.
Well, even the rib roast, I watched a butcher show where they were showing how to cut steaks, and it's those guys with the long beards. I don't know their name, but they were explaining how even the rib roast, there's a tough end and a tender end. So when you buy a rib roast and cut your own steaks, which is what they do at Costco or your local butcher, they get the big long rib roast and they slice them. There's going to be some tough ones, and there's going to be some more tenders, and then so it's like going to Little Red Riding Hood's house. There's going to be some that are too tough, some are too tender, and some are just right.
That's so true. But I do have to say, the longer I've been carnivore, the more that I actually like. It sounds crazy, but I like the spectrum of different textures of the same steak. I started enjoying chewing on, having a little bit of resistance, and I sometimes really like the really juicy one. Like I've learned to enjoy the whole spectrum of ribeyes because I don't know. It reminds me of when Jordan Peterson said, Joe Rogan said, what do you eat? He said, well, beef, salt, water, sparkling water, and he started listing the types of water he drinks. and Joe Rogan was like, oh, so you drink water? And he goes, no, when you only eat beef, salt, and water, it's important that you have variety of
the water.
You have to appreciate the variety in the cuts, the steak, the texture of the steak.
Hey, I do have a little hack for this though. Is if when I get a steak that's tough, I take it off my plate, put it on the cutting board, take my big carving knife, and I thin slice it with the carving knife because I can't get it that thin with the steak knife. And I normally eat my meat probably like a 1/4 inch thick, but when I thin slice it, I'll do it like 1/8 of an inch, and it makes it tender because you're not chewing through so much.
Yeah, again, scissors.
That's a little hack. Scissors?
You're so Asian. Like Adek and I, we literally connect on everything we do. It's like I do that, I do that, I do that. I do eat with my hands and scissors.
Scissors, really?
Scissors and my hands.
Yes. So
I'll
Koreans,
I'll have to try that.
Well, when you use it is important, right? Because you cook the meat first, and then you use your scissors and you cut up that cooked meat, and then you eat it.
Yeah, I just eat it on the table with scissors.
Yeah.
It's my chopsticks, I guess, now these days.
Same. It's so fun.
Gotta try it.
Most people are just hearing us like crazy girls, crazy ladies.
And I'm right there with Phil.
We're just lazy. That's the thing.
I definitely don't cut a steak unless it's on a cutting board anymore because I'm very particular how I cut it. It makes all the difference. Once you got to cut it against the grain, and even if you cut a thick steak, you even cut sideways through the grain too. So you're cutting against the grain and through the grain at a diagonal.
Right.
Makes all the difference in your steak. Like I mean, it really can. Yeah,
it does. It does. Well, Bella, it's getting late for me. It's 10:45.
Oops.
p.m.
Did something happen? Okay. Nothing.
No.
Okay.
I said it's getting late for me. 10:45. So.
Oh, I'm gonna wrap up anyways. I'm starving. Talking about all this. Oof. My stomach feels so empty right now for some reason.
Did you work out?
Yes, I did. This morning I did an at-home workout. So that was fun. Costco has these thin sliced meats. So that's what I thought of, Dr. Phil, when you said that you like to hand slice. They actually have that, and it's so hard to find these days. I think people are catching on. It's a very good product. I always get it. I get a ton of it because if you sear that, the meat melts in your mouth, and it takes 60 seconds to make your meal. So that's the ultimate hack if you're busy and you do love that tender feel in your mouth, then go ahead and get that. Very, very delicious.
Do you do that in cast iron skillet, or do you do that in the air fryer as well?
I do both. Both work great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we have that.
Those are the thin sliced New York pieces, right? You're talking about?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah,
That's right.
I love to buy 2 or 3 packs of those and put them in the crock pot with beef broth and make roast beef out of them for my mom. That's super, super good.
Yes.
She loves those.
So good. Yes, the shabu shabu. Hooligan knows. They label it shabu shabu. They actually know that it's comes from the Japanese cuisine. So Japanese people, they take that thinly sliced meat and they dip it in broth. That's actually how they eat it. But
Or hot water,
you know,
even just yeah.
I might be Asian.
So Bella, when you come to Florida,
Yeah.
when you come to Florida, I want you to set me up, show me how to do hot pot cooking.
Oh
I'll show
yes,
you
let's do
everything.
that.
I'll show you everything. And actually, Dr. Phil, since you're so gracious to have me stay with you and your wife, we're going to teach you how to make at-home hot pot. At-home hot
Okay.
pot. It's going to be
That's what I'd
so
like to
much
learn.
fun. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So excited.
It'll be fun.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. And we really, really hope to meet a lot of you guys in, whichever in-person carnivore event you can go to. Doesn't necessarily have to be Dr. Phil's Tampa, Florida, Hack Your Health, but it's probably going to be one of the most epic ones yet. There are a couple other ones that I like to post in the Steak and Butter Gang. So when you join us, and I'll put the free link for those who cannot afford the $30 price. Let me just put the free forum link right now in the live chat. This does not give you any of the Zoom calls, just so you know, but it gives you access. Yeah, it gives you access to all of the upcoming in-person events. I will be going to Australia soon at Carnivore Collective. It is a carnivore. I don't think it's a convention. It's just like a meetup. It's an educational event. Dr. Chafee will speak there. Professor Bart Hay will be speaking there. I'll be speaking. I'm really going just to meet all the carnivores, to meet you guys and explore Australia. And then after that event, I'm actually going to go stay with Dr. Chafee and Elle. By the way, they just got engaged. Did you guys know that? Isn't that so cool? So excited for them. And we'll stay with them for like a couple days just to hang out. Hopefully I can film some delicious cooking recipes with Elle because she's so good at cooking as well. She's half Vietnamese, so we can do some Asian cooking. But just a heads up, I'll be in Australia. And to RSVP to these in-person events, just join the Steak and Butter Gang for free. Click the free link. And then if you want to join the challenge, you can join us anytime from there. Did I miss anything, Dr. Phil?
Not really. Just eat more meat.
And if we put the Hack Your Health code in the chat and also in the description of this video. It gets you $100 off your ticket to come hang out, and it's the cheapest it's going to get. But it's gonna grab that while it's still $100 off because it's gonna coupon's gonna be $50 and then nothing. So
exactly.
Soon.
Thank you, Todd. You're the best host. So well done with all the questions and the chaos. You really do a great job. Bravo. And Adek, I love you so much. I'm so happy you're back.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear. I'm back. I'm happy I'm back. Yeah.
Yay. Love you all. Thank you for joining the live. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Have a beautiful night.
We're in the gang.